John Payne, starring in The Restless Gun.
Take care of your horse, mister? Put him down for a dime.
Dime doesn't sound like too much. Yeah. Say, whose funeral?
Dave Regan. He was a sheriff.
I knew who he was. He'd been a friend of mine for a long time. He was why I was here, to be the best man at his wedding. What happened to Dave Regan?
You a friend of his?
I came 100 miles to be best man at his wedding.
Must be Vint Bonner. Yeah, Dave talked about you a lot.
What happened?
He was killed the day before yesterday. A man by the name of Vance Carter. Ever hear of him?
Vance Carter. I've heard the name.
A professional gun. Came into town 3 nights ago looking for Dave. When he rode out, Dave was dead.
Where is this Carter now?
He could be anywhere. We've been out chasing him all day yesterday and today. We lost him in Devil's Canyon.
And that's going to be the end of it?
Look, Bonner. I was Dave's deputy. He was my friend, too. Everybody in this town liked him. Now, there are 30 men from Dorado out there that haven't been out of their saddles for the past 2 days. Does that sound to you like we don't care?
How did it happen?
He shot in the back.
Any witnesses?
No, I told you he was shot in the back. Anyway, what difference does it make? We know who did it.
You've got a town to run, Sheriff. That's your responsibility. I've got a responsibility, too. That's to find this hired gun.
Now, look at Bonner. We'll find him. Every peace officer in the territory is looking for Carter.
I'm still gonna try.
All right, I can't stop you. When are you leaving?
After I talk to the girl I was gonna marry.
And I think you'd better have a fresh horse.
Much obliged. Mr. Sturgis?
Yeah? Who are you?
Oh, I'm a friend of Dave's, sir. I'd like to talk to you.
Come in, son.
Is Nancy here, Mr. Sturgis?
Nancy? Oh, she's had a bad shock. She's been bad ever since it happened. You say you're a good friend of Dave's?
I was a good friend.
I couldn't have loved him more if he'd been my own son. Saw him every day. He used to pick me up at the mine, drive me home. Mister, I spent 40 years digging and working the mining claims. Always hoping that I'd make the big strike so Nancy and the man she marries could have something. You know something, son? I made the big strike a week ago. You believe me?
I believe you. If it helps any, I'm going to try to bring in his killer.
You do that, son. I'd go with you, but Ben Webster says I'm too old. You know something, son? Maybe he's right.
Would you tell Nancy I was here?
Your name, what did you say your name was?
Vint Bonner.
You all right?
Thanks to you, I am.
That's a new experience for me. Actually, I don't like seeing anyone ambushed. What'd you do?
Do?
Well, you must have done something. Somebody wanted you killed pretty badly.
I can't think of anyone.
I guess you don't always need a reason.
Well, thanks again. My name's Vint Bonner.
Glad to know you, Bonner. I'm Vance Carter.
Vance Carter?
That's right. You've heard of me?
More than that. I was looking for you.
What's this, a business matter?
Not exactly. I was going to take you someplace. Alive or dead.
That's very funny. Which one of your relatives left this world because of me?
No relative. A good friend. A sheriff named Regan.
Regan? I don't know any Regan. Where's he from?
Dorado.
Dorado.
Ever been there?
I was. How did your friend die?
He was shot. In the back. By a professional.
But it's true, my gun is for hire. That's my business. In a sense, I'm a gambler. But I don't gamble for money, I gamble for higher table stakes. My life. I don't shoot people in the back. Every man I've faced has had an even chance.
From what I hear, not with your speed.
You never know when you meet a faster one. Might be today, might be tomorrow. Who says I killed Regan?
The whole town?
I see. It all ties in. Do you know why I was in Dorado?
I'm listening.
I got a letter from a man offering me $1,000 for my services.
Who was it?
Ned Avery. I went into Dorado to the appointed place, but no Ned Avery.
So, maybe someone wanted you in town so that
I could take the blame for killing your friend. Do you believe me?
I think I do. But what's the answer?
Find the man who wanted me in town. You'll have the man that shot Regan and just try to have you killed.
Well, that sounds like a good idea. Where do we start?
I like the word we. Maybe those two departed souls up there can give us a lead.
I never saw him before in my life.
Neither have I. Who was the first one to tell you I killed Regan?
Ben Webster, the new sheriff.
Thick-set man, hair thinning a little on top?
You know him.
Not socially. He's been trying to introduce himself lately.
I guess I'll have another talk with him.
I think I'd like to ask him a couple of questions, too.
Look, there's a big set of cottonwoods up on the north side of town. You meet me there at sunup tomorrow.
I'll be there.
Bonner,
That's right.
I'm Nancy Sturgis. I've got to talk to you.
Come in.
I love Dave so. And I know he thought a lot of you.
That worked both ways, Miss Sturgis.
For his sake, I'm asking you a favor.
Anything at all.
Please leave town.
Without finding who killed him?
It was an accident.
Accident? Why do you think that?
Because my father killed Dave.
Your father? Dave's girl told me a strange and tragic tale. One that was almost impossible to believe. But her sincerity was unmistakable. I had to accept it as fact.
Please, just leave. You never should have come.
What are you doing here?
Just got nervous. Couldn't stay away. Don't worry. No one saw me.
Well, as long as you're here, I've got some news for you. I found out who the killer is.
Just tell me his name, Bonner, and I'll take care of him. Fast.
No, you won't.
Why not?
Because you don't kill old men. And this was an accident.
Who is this old man?
Father of Regan's girl. He's got a mine. And some wild idea he struck a rich vein. Scared to death someone will take it away from him. So Regan came by, and then the old man fired a shot to warn him off.
Killed him instead. Is that how it happened? And you believe this story?
Why shouldn't I?
Someone's lying. On my way over here tonight, I came by the mine. Some old codger took a shot at me. It's a full moon out, and I wasn't 50 feet away. He didn't even come close.
That bad a shot?
He couldn't have killed anyone, even by accident. You know, Brent, a hired gun could have killed Regan. It isn't as though I don't have competitors.
Whoever did it's still in town.
Why do you say that?
Because they took a shot at me. And they might try again.
Because you were Regan's friend?
Because I'm still here. And I could find out something.
What do you know about this fellow Webster?
Nothing much. Seems like a nice enough guy.
That's what bothers me. Nice guys don't usually become sheriff. No offense to your friend Regan. You see, I have a personal interest in this, too. Professional pride, you might call it. The story of shooting someone in the back, well, that hurts.
Webster probably went along with that to protect the old man.
Well, maybe that's what he wants everyone to think. I'd like to know more about this sheriff. Who could we talk to? Pop?
He's been around a long time.
Do you think we could get anything out of him?
We? You'd be taking an awful chance with half the town looking for you.
No, I don't think so. We could meet him at the mine.
It's worth a try. Besides, it might be the only chance we've got. We'll leave as soon as it's daybreak. Meantime, let's get some rest. No need for the gun, Pop.
You know me?
Yes, sir. My name's Vince Bonner. I met you over at Dave's house, remember?
Oh, yes. Do I know him?
No, he's a friend of mine, named Joe Hodges.
What you fellas doing up so early?
We wanted to ask you a few questions.
You don't fool me. You've come to buy my mine. Well, it ain't for sale. Here. Let me show you something. That's from the assayer's office. Highest grade ore they ever seen.
You're a rich man, Pop.
I can thank Ben Webster for that. He took the samples over personally.
Have you known Ben a long time?
Well, assured he was born here. Figured for a time he might marry Nancy. And he might have if Dave hadn't come to town. But Dave's going to marry... I know Dave's dead. But I keep pretending he's still alive. That make me a mite touched.
No, Pop, I wouldn't say so.
Now you know why I can't sell the mine. I'm going to leave it to Nancy and the man she marries. I guess now that'll be Ben Webster. Sorry, fellas. The mine ain't for sale.
It's Webster. There's no doubt about that. I'm going in to get him.
No, you're not.
Sorry, Bonner, that's the way it's going to be. Now let me go.
Look, I'll take care of Webster, I promise. But it's got to be done my way. You gonna listen?
I should have let you be bushwhacked. All right, I'll listen.
Now, this is what I plan. Did you tell anyone you saw me last night?
Oh, no. Did I do the wrong thing?
No. Except now I'm pretty sure that your father didn't kill Dave.
He didn't. Well, who did?
Ben Webster.
I've been expecting you, Bonner. How'd you make out on that wild goose chase of yours?
Better than I expected. I have found Vance Carter.
You did? Where is he? Why didn't you bring him in?
Would you like to go up against him alone?
No, I guess not. How do you know he'll stay where he is?
I don't. That's why we better move fast.
All right, I'll get a posse together right away.
Hold it. We don't need a posse. The two of us are enough.
Look, why take the chance? Carter's dangerous.
I don't want to see him killed. I want to see him hang. That's why I think the two of us are enough. Or don't you think so?
All right, Bonner. I'll go with you. I'm ready. Hold it, Bonner.
That gun could go off.
It's going to. Now get down off that horse.
You mind telling me why?
Not at all. I don't like being led into a trap. You see, I know all about you and Carter.
You might as well tell me the rest.
When the horse I loaned you came back alone, I figured everything was all right. Until somebody told me different.
Like who?
The third man at the pass.
You know what happened to your other two friends.
Not friends, Bonner. All three were strangers. They didn't know me. I gave a different name when I hired them.
A name like Ned Avery.
I had everything worked out fine until you showed up.
When you pull that trigger, I'm going to get off a shot. I doubt if I'll miss. But if I do, Carter will kill you.
I'll take care of Carter when the time comes.
The time's come, Webster. Surprised I'm here? Bonner, you don't think like a killer. Webster and I do. I thought it'd be wise to get here a little early. Something could go wrong. How do you want to die, Webster? You got three choices. On your horse, on the ground, or on your knees.
He's got a fourth choice. We can hang him.
He doesn't have a fourth choice.
Yes, he does. I'm taking him back to stand trial.
Who'd believe you?
A judge and a jury?
In this case, I'm the judge, the jury, and the executioner. All right, hit the ground, Webster.
I say he's going to stand trial.
Don't crowd me, Bonner. Give him back his gun.
Sorry, Vance.
I hoped it'd never have to be you and me.
That's up to you. I'm ready anytime you are.
Like I won after all.
Webster, you can't get both of us.
Bonner's right. One of us is going to take you.
After all, you're not shooting a man in the back now.
Your hand is shaking, Webster. What's wrong with your trigger finger?
Getting nervous? Let's not go through with this whole thing again. You got a pair of fists, use them.
All right, Bonner. I'll do it your way.
What are you doing?
I paid $80 for this suit. And I don't intend to soil it on a crooked sheriff.
I hope you left enough of them to stand trial.
I think he'll live.
A pretty good job. It's better than using a gun, isn't it?
What are you trying to do? Convert me?
No. It was merely an observation.
You've got a point. Besides, it's more fun.
I'd been working for old man Jeffers on the Tip Top Ranch for a couple of months. The old man was one of those hard-riding kind, so I was kind of happy at being sent to town. Usually, though, I was a little town shy. Towns generally brought me trouble. I guess that's what's wrong with having a reputation. Always some young gun just itching to sharpen his spurs on your hide.
You ain't as gun shy as you used to be.
You belong back in that jail.
Now, Granny, you know there ain't no jail gonna hold me. And Sheriff Hanson, he ain't gonna ever put me back there again either.
I wouldn't be surprised, but what you're right, Wes. I wouldn't be surprised to see you lying in the dirt with a bullet in you first.
We all gotta go sooner or later. And if my time was as close as yours, I wouldn't be talking about dying either.
Your time may be closer than you think, Wes. Maybe even closer than mine.
Don't talk to me like that. Now, you've got to stop talking to me like that.
Wes! Hey, Wes! Wes, you know who that man was you took a shot at?
Oh, I don't know, and I don't care.
Well, listen, it was Vin Bonner. Do you hear me? The six-shooter.
You sure?
Well, yeah, I'm sure.
Well, what if it was?
Well, aren't you glad to hear it? Here's your chance to do all those things you were talking about the other day. Remember?
I remember.
Remember Joe Hayes was talking about Bonner, and you said you could teach him a thing or two about slapping leather? Well, now's your chance to do it, Wes.
You talk too much.
You'll be talking longer than he will.
There you are, Bent. How's this? Tip-top ranch. Property of Rex Jeffers. Keep out. This means you.
Well, that keep out part sounds a little polite. You better change that to trespassers will be shot on sight. Signed, Rex Jeffers.
I guess he means it.
He means it. He's got the biggest ranch in the state, and he wants everybody to know it. I guess he figures putting these every quarter mile or so will do the trick.
No doubt Jeffers will want his name printed in the biggest size type I've got, too.
I think he'd like to stand that real plain.
Yeah, all right, I'll print them up, all 1,000 of them. But it's going to cost him $6.40.
$6.40.
Yeah, paper's expensive, Vint. Besides, it's going to take me darn near the rest of the day. Well, that's my price, $6.40.
Well, you gotta pay. Finish him up as soon as you can, Pete.
All right, Vint. Well, Vint, you heard what happened to Lockwood, haven't you?
No. What happened to Lockwood?
We got us a brand new gunfighter.
Gunfighter, huh?
Yes, young and mean, fast too. Looks like Wes Singer is out to set some kind of a new record.
Wes Singer. That his name?
Yeah, can't be no more than 19. 20 at the most.
Most of them start young.
And they don't live to be very old either. But they can cause a lot of trouble in a short space of time.
Trouble? What do you mean?
2 killings in less than a month.
2 killings?
Charlie Barker was the first. Folks was inclined to think it was a lucky draw. Until Wes went up against Todd Apple. Wes put a bullet right in the middle of Todd's forehead before Todd's gun ever cleared his pants. After that, folks weren't inclined to think it was just a lucky draw.
Well, with all this shooting and killing, I guess the sheriff is doing a little thinking.
Ben Hanson's thinking all right, but Ben's getting a little bit old.
What's he doing about it?
Oh, he went out to Vess all right, but there isn't much he could do. Wes had witnesses to the first shooting, and the jury turned him loose after 10 days in jail on the second.
Where is he now?
And the best the sheriff could do is order him to stay out of town. The boy's now up on his grandma's place, a little way east. It's the only kin he's got, this old Miss Singer.
No. How long do you think it'll take to get these ready?
Yeah, take a few hours, sometime in late afternoon.
I'll be back.
All right. Oh, Vince. Of course, if it comes to a showdown between the sheriff and Wes, well, like I said, the sheriff ain't as young as he used to be.
Hello, Sheriff.
Vince! Vince, how you been?
Good, just fine.
Oh, doggone. I was just sitting there thinking over a couple of things.
Well, a man's got a right to think once in a while.
Now, you know I was asleep, sound as the dead.
Guess it's that time of day.
Heard you was working over at the Tip Top. I wondered when you was coming to town.
Yeah, you know old man Jeffers, he likes to keep things and people jumping.
Doggone, it's good to see you. What brings you to Lockwood?
Jeffers wanted some no trespassing signs printed up, so he sent me in to get them. I understand you got yourself a little problem.
Problem? Who you been talking to?
You know Pete Drum.
Yeah, I know Pete Drum. I suppose he's been running off at the mouth about Wes Singer.
Well, he told me something about him.
How long are you going to be in town?
Just long enough to pick up my posters. Why?
Oh, you know these young blowhards. Boasting to their pals and how they can out-trigger any man in the state. Your name was mentioned. This young Singer said he could even teach you a few tricks.
I see.
I want you to leave town.
Wait a minute, Ben, just because...
You're a mighty tempting target. You're the six-shooter, ain't you? Any gunfighter put a bullet in you, have a real claim to fame.
That doesn't make any sense, Ben. This youngster's got no cause to pick a fight with me. It's stupid.
They're all stupid. Gunslingers. Most of them young kids like this Singer. The idea of getting themselves killed never enters their head. If they're dead, they wouldn't be gunslingers.
Well, I'm not going to be here long. But I'll have to wait for those posters. Can you imagine what would happen if I turned up empty-handed?
I laid down the law to this kid. I can handle him.
Sure you can. Sure you can. I'll get on over to the hotel and get myself cleaned up.
Now, you drop by and see me before you leave.
I'll do that.
Bonner! Come on out, Bonner!
Wes! I told you to keep out of my town.
Stay out of my way, old man. Came in to talk to Mr. Bonner.
Go ahead. Talk.
You're the one they call the six-shooter, huh? Thought I'd come into town and take a look at you. Can't help but say I'm a little bit disappointed.
Wes, I told you.
What are your plans now?
What do you think you're doing?
Same thing as you're doing.
That's a shotgun. What's wrong with your six-shooter? That thing went off.
You got the idea. Even if you got off the first shot, which is just possible, I'd still blow a hole in you big enough to put my arm through. At this distance, I couldn't miss.
You're loco, Bonner. We'd both be dead.
Yeah. Well,
You just can't expect the men to commit suicide.
that's up to you. I'm waiting.
This isn't the way you're supposed to do it. It just isn't fair.
Now you do what I say. Put that gun away. Get on your horse and get out of town.
I'll go. I'm coming back when you ain't got that cannon. Listen to me, everybody. I'm coming back here at 4 o'clock. And if fire there just ain't a bunch of hot air, he's gonna have to use his six-shooter. Maybe you'd rather not, Mr. Bonner. Maybe that reputation of yours ain't worth a hill of beans.
I don't know, boy. I never figured out what a hill of beans was worth. My name's Bonner, ma'am. You want to see me?
Would you mind sitting down, Mr. Bonner? I'd like to talk to you for a minute or so if you have the time.
Any time I can't spare a minute to talk to an attractive lady, I'll quit.
Thank you, Mr. Bonner. Thank you kindly.
Pleasure.
I wanted to talk to you about my grandson. I think you've already run into him.
Oh. Yes, I've run into him.
Then you know what he aims to do this afternoon. You know why he's coming into town.
I heard what he said.
He means it, Mr. Bonner. He means to kill you.
I wouldn't worry, Miss Singer. Sheriff Hanson will be waiting for him. If he starts anything, likely as not, he'll end up in jail.
Jail. There isn't any jail can hold Wes anymore. And Ben Hanson won't be able to arrest him either. He'll shoot him down without batting an eye.
Let me get this straight. I thought it was your grandson you were worried about.
Worried about Wes? No. I'm worried about all the men he's going to kill if somebody doesn't stop him. Men like Charlie Barker and Todd Apple. Ben Hanson, he'll be next. I've known Ben for over 25 years. He's a fine man, and he's made a fine sheriff. And he deserves better than to be murdered by a gun-worshipping whelp without a bone of conscience or feeling in his whole body.
Exactly what is it you want me to do, Miss Singer?
I want you to kill him, Mr. Bonner. I want you to kill Wes. I want you to shoot him down like you'd shoot a mad dog. You're the man they call the six-shooter. You're the only one who'd stand a chance against him. Why, I've watched that boy hour after hour, standing out behind the barn, practicing with those guns of his, until I thought I'd go out of my mind with the horror and the shame of it. He never cared for anything else, nothing but guns, since he was old enough to pull a trigger.
Sheriff Hanson's the law.
Law? What kind of law is it that allowed West to go free after his other killings, that turned him loose to kill again? Maybe if his ma and pa had been here to raise him. Maybe that's what the boy needed. Someone to do the things for him that a boy needs done. I tried my best.
I'm sure you did.
He'll be killed. Sooner or later, somebody will kill him. Somebody will have to kill him. That's why I'm asking you to do it now. Today. Before the stain of anybody else's blood is on his hands.
I'm sorry, Miss Singer. I can't do that. I'm not a killing man. after 3 o'clock. There's a kind of stillness in the air, like on a hot summer day just before a thunderstorm. Just enough heat to keep everybody out of sight behind shutters. Later on, it would come alive, full of people, their noise, their activity, their need for excitement. But that would be later. Now the town was practically empty. Nobody in the stores, nobody on the streets.
Hey, Wes? Yeah?
You, really intend to let him go for his gun first?
That's the only way to make him stand up and fight.
He was pretty fast, even with that shotgun.
Anyone can pull a shotgun off of a wall.
He was still pretty fast about it.
He ain't the only one that's fast.
Oh, we know you, Wes. We sure know you. After all, we seen you with Todd Apple and Charlie Barker. Of course, Todd and Charlie.
What about Todd and Charlie?
Well, nothing, Wes, nothing. Well, they were good, but they, weren't in the class with a 6-shooter. Wouldn't you say so yourself, Wes?
Shut up.
Oh, now, Wes, I know you're not afraid of getting killed, but...
Shut up and get up on your horse.
Yeah, sure, Wes. But you know me, Wes. Like you said, I talk too much.
My posters ready?
Yep. I guess you're all set leaving town. I put the print on those posters big enough for Lincoln's assassination. You ought to satisfy Rex Jeffers.
$6.40 is still a lot of money. To do was to get out of Lockwood and back to the ranch. Then I saw Ben Hansen standing alone in the street.
Get back on your horse, Vin. Singer will be here any minute, and I want you out of the way until I finish with him.
What do you mean, Ben?
I told him if he ever came back to Lockwood, he'd have to answer to me.
You gonna shoot it out with him?
If I have to.
You sure you can handle him, Ben?
Of course I'm sure. No, Vin. I'm not sure at all. He's young. He's awful fast.
That's what Pete said.
But you see, I gotta try. If it turns out I still ain't fast enough, well, I was bound to meet my match someday. Not many sheriffs have lasted as long as I have. 25 years. That's practically a record hereabouts.
Listen, Ben. It's me he's gunning for, not you.
That ain't the point, and you know it. I'm the sheriff here in Lockwood. Now you ride out of town. It ain't no use, Vent. I just can't step back and let you take him on first. Folks around here'd never pay me any heed afterward. They'd say I talked big to Wes, but it was your gun he listened to. I'm through arguing with you. Now you get on your horse and move on out of town.
All right, Ben. I didn't have to kill him. Maybe the boy could learn to live without a gun. Get off that horse. I said get off that horse. That's better. Now I'll just relieve you of all that folding money you're carrying. I said give me the money, mister. I'd just finished 3 months' work at the Winslow spread. And though the pay was the best in the state, my heels were beginning to itch, so I was on my way to the Copper Springs Bank to get my check cashed and move on. Handsome-sized check, too. $67. Copper Springs was generally one of the quietest towns you ever saw. But today it looked and sounded like a kettle just before coming to a boil, shaking and humming all over. Couldn't help wondering what all the excitement was about.
Can you believe it, Mac? Sheriff Handler capturing the Wyoming kid.
The sheriff didn't exactly capture him, Ollie.
Well, then who?
The way I understand it, the posse just sort of stumbled onto the kid.
After coming down the long trail from Fort Drexel, Scar could use a good feed and some water, while I took care of my business at the bank.
He was stretched flat in a grove of sycamore down by 10-Foot Creek. When they brought him by my house in the morning, he had a bullet in his shoulder, and he was still out cold.
Out cold? Bank isn't open yet.
Oh, I see.
Sheriff say who shot him and left him lying there?
That's what I'm trying to tell you. No one seems to know.
9 o'clock. All I can say is that he was in good health yesterday when he rode out here with $2,500 of my money.
Cash check.
Excuse me, please.
All right.
I'm sorry. Good morning, Mr. Hawkins. I'm sorry I'm late, but excuse me, please. But Matilda had another one of her fainting spells last night, and I had to wait till Doc McIntyre got out there to look at her.
All right, Jonas, all right. Now get in your cage. Customer's waiting.
Yes, sir, but you know how Matilda is. Once she gets an idea in her head, there's just no arguing with her.
I'd like to cash my check.
The clerk isn't in his office yet.
So I see.
Jonas, you hear about them capturing Jet King?
Jet King?
The fellow who held us up yesterday, the Wyoming kid. His real name is Jet King. Sheriff says he found him down near 10-Foot Creek, all shot up.
Take a mighty big man to stand up to Jet King. And there's up to 10 graves that'll testify to that.
Look, I haven't got all day. If you'll just cash my check, I'll be on my way.
What's your name, mister?
Bonner, Vint Bonner.
You say Vint Bonner?
What's the matter, Mac?
Why, he's a six-shooter, Ollie.
What?
Ain't that right, Mr. Bonner?
I've been called that.
I guess we don't have to do any more wondering who shot the Wyoming kid.
Excuse me, sir, but I have to check my daily ledger.
If I had known you were around here, we wouldn't have had any doubts in the first place.
Well, there ain't no doubt about it, Ollie. Well, take a mighty fast man to outdraw the Wyoming Kid. And the six-shooter here is about the fastest man west of the Mississippi.
Hold it. In the first place, I don't know any Wyoming Kid. And as for outdrawing him, I never...
Sure, Mr. Bonner. Everybody knows how the six-shooter don't like to take credit for what he does. Well, you ain't going to get away with it here in Copper Springs.
Now, listen to me a minute. I told you I don't...
Wait till I tell the sheriff we know who shot the Wyoming Kid.
Sheriff!
Now, about that check.
Where's he going?
We'll be most happy to oblige. Jonas!
Hey, you!
Will you cash the check for the check?
Bonner, come right in, sir. This is a real privilege to meet you. Mac was just in here telling me all about it. He just scooted through that door to spread the news all over town.
Look,
oh, not that I wouldn't have got that Jet King myself sooner or later, but you sure did speed up the operation. Yes, sir. Have a seat, son. Sit right down.
Sheriff, look, I want to talk to you about that.
Oh, now, don't you worry none about the reward. I'll see that you get every penny of it.
Reward? I don't want any reward.
Everybody says you're the generous type, all right.
I'm not that generous. Look, when Jet King comes to, ask him if I shot him.
Oh, Jet, he came to quite a while ago. Old Doc McIntyre's passed him up near as good as new.
Well, fine. Just ask him if I shot him.
Ask him? Well, what do you think I did as soon as Mac told me about it? Jet says you made a lucky draw. He's got to have an alibi.
You mean he says I shot him too?
You're the six-shooter, ain't you? Well, that's the feller he said done it all right.
I think I'd like to have a talk with Jet King.
Well, I reckon we can arrange that. Jet?
Huh?
This here the fellow who shot you?
We're going over that again, Sheriff. I told you who'd done it.
Yeah, I know, but Mr. Bonner here, he kind of disagrees with you.
I sure do.
You do, huh?
You were ready enough to pull the trigger last night. Why are you trying to lie your way out of it now? King, you know I didn't shoot you. Sheriff, I give you my word.
Mr. Bonner, we all know how you feel about accepting honors, but this time you're not going to be able to get out of it. As a matter of fact, I believe there's a little doings planned for later on this afternoon. After the parade, that is.
Parade?
There won't be nothing much. Just a way for the folks here in Copper Springs to show their appreciation for what you've done.
Sheriff, I want to talk to Jet King. Alone.
All right, Mr. Bonner. I sure don't see what you hope to gain by it.
All right, King. What are you trying to pull?
I hear there's a pretty big reward out for me.
You know I'm not entitled to that reward.
As long as I keep saying you're the fella, you're the one who's going to collect it. I'm doing you a favor. Of course, it's just between the two of us now that I see you real close up. Just might have been somebody else.
Must have been a real fast gun.
He wasn't. I mean, I'm fast too. Plenty fast.
No matter how fast you are, there's always someone a little bit faster.
Not too many, Bonner. Maybe you, one or two others, but not too many.
Oh, sure. But you could be getting a little old, slowing down a bit.
Slowing down? I'm just as fast as I ever was. You think I'm going to let folks know that I was outdrawed by a little runt with gray hair? When grocery clerk, maybe he even wore a ready-made suit. His stiff-collared, the high kind that jumps from man in a tie. Who would ever thought a runt like that would know how to use a gun?
Well, suppose we just tell that to the sheriff.
Oh, wait a minute. Tell the sheriff what?
What you just said.
I ain't telling that to nobody else. Nobody. I got no choice. It's one thing to be outshot by Vet Bonner, but that ain't so hard to swallow. But the idea of being outthrown and outshot by a nobody. Why, I won't never be able to face my friends again. After I break out of jail, that is.
King, you're talking like a fool.
Yeah. Yes, sir, Mr. Bonner. It sure was a lucky break for me when the sheriff said you were in town. After all, I got my reputation to consider. Your reputation. Sheriff!
Everything all right, Mr. Bonner?
I'm getting out of here.
Just wasn't any use trying to convince people. They wanted a hero, and I was it, like it or not. Well, there's one thing I could do. I could clear out of town. And then I remembered I still hadn't cashed that check. What was it King had said? Something about a little gray-haired fella wearing one of those ready-made suits and the kind of stiff collar that chokes a man half to death?
Oh, yes, sir. Is there anything I can... Why, Mr. Bonner.
That's right.
Well, you certainly stir up a lot of talk, Mr. Bonner.
I seem to.
Mr. Hoffman just stepped out for a few minutes. Of course, if there's anything I can do for you.
You're all alone, huh?
Well, things are kind of quiet this time of day.
Wasn't that way when I was here this morning. As a matter of fact, in all the excitement, I forgot to cash my check. I thought maybe you'd do that for me.
Oh, well, oh, of course. Never any trouble with one of Mr. Winslow's checks.
You've been with the bank a long time, huh?
Yes, 23 years now, going on 24.
That's so.
65, 66, 67. There you are, Mr. Bonner. I think that'll do it.
That should do it.
Would there be anything else, Mr. Bonner?
Well, there is one other thing. I was just over to the jail. Had a long talk with Chet King.
You did?
And he told me all about the shooting last night.
Well, must have been very interesting. Well, excuse me, I have to get back to work.
And he gave me a description of the man who shot him. You know what? That description fits you right down to that white collar you're wearing. Now, isn't that strange?
Oh, yes, it is strange. Very, very strange.
And what's more, you're just about the only man I've seen in town that the description does fit.
I'm afraid that I don't understand you, Mr. Bonner.
Well, I'll just go over and have a talk with the sheriff about it.
No, Mr. Bonner, Mr. Bonner. Mr. Bonner, please. What are you going to talk to the sheriff about?
Oh, I thought I'd talk to him about this. Now, suppose you tell me how you shot Jet King.
Well, I was late. I was late for dinner. I was out at the Widow Tolliver's on business, and I knew that Matilda would probably be a little worried if I didn't show up soon. So... Widow Tolliver, just can't drink any more tea. I got to be getting home.
Now, Jonas, I don't see why you're in such a powerful hurry.
But Tolliver, do you know Matilda has supper on the table at 4:30 sharp? Here it is nightfall already. Well, she's just as likely as not to have on one of her fainting spells.
Fainting spells? Oh, now, what kind of a way is that to get a man to mind? Why, when my Clarence was late for supper, Lord rest his soul, I'd just lean over the table and clop him right in the chops.
Oh, well, good night. Good night, Widow Tolliver.
You got a gun on you?
Gun?
You mean you're taking my money to the bank without a gun on you to protect it?
Protect it? But I don't need a gun.
Now, you wait right here. I won't be but a minute.
But Widow Tolliver, I don't need anything. I'm just going to... I'll have you know I've been with the bank 24 years now, and I've never lost a single solitary cent.
I wouldn't care if you was with the bank 100 years, Jonas Pilgrim. You just take this.
Oh.
That's my money you're carrying.
Well, good night.
Good night, Jonas.
As you go, mister. Get off that horse.
What do you think you're doing?
I'll just take that horse you're riding. Get off.
Well, this is absolutely the most outrageous
I
thing
said get off that horse.
Yes.
That's better. Since you're carrying that bankroll, I'll take that too.
What?
I want that money, mister.
That's exactly the way it happened, Mr. Bonner. I didn't intend to. I didn't even know who he was. I wasn't here when he held up the bank.
Well, no telling what had happened if you had been.
It all happened so fast. I mean, the way this fella came at me out of the dark, grabbed my horse, pulled his gun. Oh, I shouldn't have done it. I don't know what got into me.
Now, don't tell me you're sorry you shot a man like Jet King.
Mr. Bonner, Well, the fact is, I'm a married man.
What's that got to do with it?
Matilda, that's my wife. Well, Matilda's kind of particular about things. She's terrible particular about me, for instance. That's why I gotta wear this doggone collar.
Well, I'm sorry, Jonas. I still don't see...
But, Mr. Bonner, don't you see, if Matilda thought I even so much as touched a gun, why... I don't think she'd ever let me out of her sight again.
Well, looks to me like you take care of yourself pretty good.
Well, as a matter of fact, I have had some experience with a gun. I don't know. I guess it was just some old instincts coming out in me. First thing I knew, there he was, lying there in the dirt.
You mean you used to be a gunfighter?
When I come out west, a fella had to be able to shoot his way out of a spot or two if he wanted to stay alive. For instance, once when I was... Well, I guess it don't look much like it now, do I?
Well, Jonas, every man's bound to do a certain amount of aging.
Yeah? Sometimes I think I've done a little more than my share. Anyhow, now you know why I don't want folks to know about what happened last night.
Well, that's all very well, but, Jonas, I can't take credit for something that you did.
But, Mr. Bonner...
Mr. Bonner, Jet King just broke out of jail.
Yeah, he must have had a friend or somebody help him.
Sheriff is getting a posse together. Wants you to join it.
Look here now.
Sheriff figures they are heading toward Badwater Falls.
I'm sorry, I won't be able to oblige.
Well, why not? You already captured Jet King once.
Let's just say that once was enough. Which way is Badwater Falls?
South! Due south!
I'm going north. Due north. And Inside of 5 minutes, the whole male population of Copper Springs had galloped out of the other end of the town, headed south. I guess that made Jonas Pilgrim and me the only two men in town who hadn't run off with the posse. Not that I was especially glad that King had broken jail, but they were bound to catch up with the Wyoming kids sooner or later. From the looks of it, seemed like the man who ran the stable had run off with the others, but I'd already paid for Scar's keep, so...
Don't move. Now, you just keep holding on to that saddle, Mr. Bonner. Get to the door, keep your eyes peeled. One more move and I'll blow your head off.
You're not going to get away with this, King.
Nobody to stop me except you.
That shoulder will slow you down some.
Don't worry about me, Bonner. I'll make out. I'm taking your horse.
There are other horses.
Not as good as yours.
Some days it just doesn't pay to get out of bed. Bump on King's skull and the crease in his friends, I thought maybe I could get out of town before the hullabaloo started all over again, but I had to move fast.
Oh, Mr. Pilgrim. Oh. You through for the day at the bank? Oh, yes, we close at 4 o'clock sharp. I'm on my way home now. I wonder if you'd mind doing me a little favor. Put off your supper for a while. Till the posse gets back, that is. Well, what for, Mr. Bonner? Well, you see, the sheriff left with the posse, and there's no one watching the jail. I don't see what difference it makes. Jed King was the only prisoner, and he's escaped. Well, now you never can tell, Mr. Pilgrim. Suppose someone was to break in. They could do a lot of damage. You can't tell what important papers the sheriff might have in his files over there. Oh, it seems to me the sheriff should have locked up before he left. Mm-hmm. Oh, no, I'd never leave the bank like this, not if my life depended on it. Now, you know that, Mr. Bonner, don't you? I certainly do. I certainly do, but the way I figured you're more conscious of your responsibilities than most people. Well, if a man's got a job to do, it's his plain duty to perform it as well as he knows how. Then you won't mind holding the fort till the sheriff shows up. You know, I just wouldn't feel right running off with no one minding the jail. Well, no, Mr. Bonner. A civic-minded citizen just like yourself. It seems to me you're worrying unnecessarily. You'll never know how much I appreciate this.
You just sit there a little while until somebody shows up.
Hope it won't be more than a little while. Matilda's...
You better hold on to this, too. Never can tell when you might need it. Old gunfighter like you. And these. Now, just make yourself comfortable.
Oh, Mr. Bonner.
Yeah?
I hope you're not put out by my letting folks think it was you shot Jet King last night.
I think that's taken care of.
You know, sometimes it's best for a man to take responsibility for a thing, even if he didn't do it himself.
You know what? You've got a point. I'll be seeing you. Sure was nice riding out of Copper Springs with $67 in my pocket. Though I would have given a good part of it to have seen the expression on the sheriff's face when he...
I hadn't seen this with my own eyes. I swear I wouldn't believe it.
Kind of tickled me that Jet King's reputation would never be the same. Though I admit I was a little worried about how Matilda would react to Jonas's newfound talent. Then wasn't it Jonas who said that sometimes it's best for a man to take the responsibility for a thing, even if he didn't do it?
What are you doing there? No. Take anything you want. Anything. But don't do that. Don't do it now. Why? No, please. Don't. Please. Bessie. Oh, Shorty. Won't you listen to that cow now? Oh, it's not one of your little people, Dad. It's just a cow. There's something wrong with that cow, Michael. Maybe she's hungry, huh? There's not feeding. She's one. Now, why should a cow be going unmilked this far into the day? Say, Dad, you don't suppose Mr. Danfield's sick, do you? Now, what's the use of supposing when it just takes a minute to find out? Mr. Danfield! Mr. Danfield! 'Tis Sean O'Hara! Well, why don't you see if it's locked? Do you suppose it's all right? Of course it's all right. Mr. Danfield? Lord preserve us. Michael, run quickly for the doctor. He's still breathing. Hurry, lad. And bring the sheriff, too.
Well, son, you might as well slow down. We're not going to get any place tonight. Spring jobs are over and the summer jobs haven't started yet. Evening, ma'am. Tell you the truth, Scar, I've been dawdling on purpose. I've been kind of hoping to spend another night out on the range. Being a horse, you wouldn't know, but the ground's a lot softer than some of those 25-cent hotel beds. So, if you don't mind. Say, do you see a light flickering up behind those trees?
As cold as the clay. Oh, beat the drum slowly and play the fife lowly and play the dead march as you carry me along. Take me to the green valley, there lay the sod o'er me. For I'm a young cowboy and know I've done wrong.
Howdy.
Howdy. Don't stop. That sounds mighty pretty.
Well, it gets kind of tiresome when you hear it all the time like I do.
It's better listening to those coyotes.
That's about all. Say, I'd be real proud to have you stay for supper, friend. Oh, I got nothing but beans. There's one thing you can say for beans, though. There's always plenty to go around.
Thanks very much. Not much obliged, but I got some grub of my own.
You have? What do you got?
Beans.
Yeager's the name. Toby Yeager.
Vent Bonner.
Vin Bonner? Well, what do you know? See, I've heard a lot about you. And, that six-shooter.
That's a mighty pretty guitar you got there.
Oh, it ain't much, but it sure is company.
I know what you mean. It's pretty lonely on the trail. Sometimes I figure I might end up talking to my horse.
Oh, beat the drum slowly and play the fife lowly and play the dead march as you carry me along.
Why don't you join in, Mr. Bonner? Your voice can't be any worse than mine.
Well, all right, but remember, you asked for it.
Take me to the green valley, there lay the sorrow me, for I'm a young cowboy and know I've done wrong.
There go the neighbors complaining again.
I guess it ain't one of their favorites.
I always liked a good tune, but I never could do much about carrying one.
Oh, there ain't much to carrying a tune. All you got to do is face up to it and get a good grip on it.
Who in the name of heaven would want to kill poor Homer Danfield? But there wasn't a better liked man anywhere in this whole valley.
But, Sean, that's got nothing to do with it. Whoever it was looking for valuables.
Now, Sheriff, who around here would be looking for valuables in Mr. Danfield's place?
Well, how much of a chance has he got, Doc?
Don't feel much like sleeping, do you?
No. Not with all those beans in me.
Here's one I'll bet you never even heard.
Darling, I am growing old. Silver threads among the gold.
That's a real pretty tune.
Sort of gets close to you. Name of it is Silver Threads Among the Gold.
Shine upon my brow today. Life is fading fast away. But my darling, you will be always young and fair to me. Yes, my darling, you will be always young and fair to me.
That's mighty pretty. How come I haven't heard of that before?
Oh, I guess it just hasn't got this far west yet.
Don't tell me you're from the east.
Now, ain't that a heck of a thing to say to somebody? My home's in Utah. I spent a couple of months in Chicago last winter.
You like it back there?
No, not me. I was afraid of the horse cars. Headed back west first chance I got, and that's where I propose to stay. I've been laying track for the Santa Fe.
How are they coming with that railroad?
They ain't at the moment. They got the line built as far as the town of Peaceful back there. Then they had to stop and straighten out some ruckus about the right-of-way. So I took my pay and bought that spindly mare back there and figured I'd mosey on for somewheres else.
Restless type, huh?
No cure for it.
Trouble is with you, son, you can't tell a good tune from a bad one. That's why you're still a horse. You are now approaching the outskirts of the town of Peaceful. That's the Homer Danfield estate up ahead. Looks like old Homer's got himself some company. Howdy, Mr. O'Hara.
Well, open your eyes, man. It's been Bonner. Ah, for the love of heaven, of course it is indeed. Why, I didn't know you were around these parts at all. Oh, but 'tis a blessed miracle you've come, Mr. Bonner.
What do you mean?
A terrible thing has happened to poor Homer Danfield.
How's that?
Poor old Danfield's been shot. He's lying in there now, hovering between life and death.
So, do you know who shot him?
I don't know. I think it was a thief of some kind. Me and my boy Michael, we just happened along here yesterday. It was about noon. And there he lay, with a hole in his chest that big. Sure, he hasn't drawn a conscious breath since.
Howdy, Sheriff.
Oh, Ben Bonner, where'd you come from?
Just passing through.
How's Mr. Danfield?
Came to for a couple of minutes.
Did he say anything?
Not much. Fellow broke in night before last, long about midnight. Homer didn't know him. Wasn't even sure he'd know him next time.
Just someone trying to rob the place?
He made off with about $50. Homer came on him prowling around the room, and fellow throwed lead at him.
You think he'll pull through?
I don't know. He's lost a lot of blood. Doc thinks it might have nicked one of his lungs.
The poor old devil. I'd like to get my hands on him.
Could Homer give you a description of the fellow?
It's pretty vague. It was dark. Could have been anybody. There was one thing, though. The way Homer tells it, it was a little while before he passed out, and he could hear this fellow searching around, plundering through drawers and all, and singing to himself while he done it.
Singing?
Homer ain't too sure in his own mind, but I don't ever remember hearing anything like it. Silver and gold and getting old.
Silver and gold and getting old?
Yeah.
No, I ain't never heard a song like that.
You, Vint? Vint, you ever hear anything like that?
I've heard something sounds mighty similar. Sheriff, how'd you like to do some riding?
Yeah.
As I said to the sheriff, there might be no connection at all. It was a new song in the West, but if I knew it, maybe others knew it too. He'd said he was heading south, and that's the way it looked when we picked up the trail. A ways beyond Little Creek, he'd turned west toward the mountain. Funny thing was, it didn't look like he'd been in too much of a hurry. Even after nightfall, there was enough moon to make out his tracks. And along about 9 o'clock, we were getting up around Porcupine Peak.
What is it?
I thought I heard something up ahead. I could be wrong. It could be the wind changed.
As I walk.
He must be up around that bend.
I think we better move in on foot.
I came up on him last night. He seemed tame enough.
All right. I'll take your word for it.
white linen, as cold as the clay. So beat the drums.
Howdy again.
Howdy, Jaeger.
I thought this morning you was headed the other way.
Well, this morning I was.
Don't tell me you was drawed back by the music.
In a way, yes. This is Cleet Gentle from the town of Peaceful back yonder.
Peaceful and gentle, huh? Now that's got a real pretty sound. I'm proud to make your acquaintance, Mr. Gentle.
Evening. Did you ever meet Mr. Gentle when you were working at Peaceful?
Not that I can recall.
He's the sheriff there.
Wow. Surprised I missed you, Sheriff. I guess I just wasn't there long enough to get in any trouble. You fellas ain't just riding around this time of night, are you?
No, we're not. We're looking for a man. Farmer named Danfield was shot and robbed the other night.
Oh, well now, I'm right sorry to hear that.
Danfield doesn't remember who shot him, but he remembers a song he was singing.
Song? You mean he was singing to him same time he was shooting him?
I noticed that you were going real good at that music when we came up.
Now, hold up there, Sheriff. I do my singing mostly to amuse myself. Or any stray coyotes that happen to be passing by.
The fellow we're looking for was singing a song not everybody knows.
He was, huh?
Yeah, it's the one you were playing to me last night.
Oh, what song was that, Mr. Bonner?
Silver Threads Among the Gold. If I recollect rightly, you said it was a new song.
Well, that's right, it is.
One you'd picked up back east.
Yeah, that's right, I did, but you figure that ties me in with the shooting?
Well, it narrows it down a lot.
Now, ain't you fellas kind of jumping to conclusions?
Nobody's accusing you of anything, Mr. Yeager.
Well, all right, sir. Then what can I do for you?
I'd like you to take a ride back to Peaceful with us. Let Homer Danfield take a look and see if he can identify you.
Well, he's still alive?
Did you think he was dead?
I didn't think nothing. Now, it ain't unusual for a man to die when he's been shot.
No, it ain't unusual. How much money you got on you?
I guess about $45.
Would you mind letting me take a look at it?
Well, it's just plain American money.
$20, $30, $40, $5, $6, $7, $48. $48.
Is that a sign of something?
Homer Danfield had about $50 stashed away that he doesn't have anymore.
Well, now, so did the Santa Fe Railroad, till they paid me off the other day. That money can prove where it came from.
Yeager, I see you're wearing a gun.
Well, that makes three of us wearing a gun, don't it, Sheriff?
You'd better let me have yours, and then let's get started back to Peaceful.
All right. I'll go peaceful-like. Look, if it won't hold us up any, I'd like to get my pack together and my horse saddled.
I'll give you a hand.
Well, much obliged, Mr. Bonner. Would you mind fastening my music box to the back of my saddle? I sure wouldn't want to leave that little contraption behind.
It had been an all-night ride for Toby Yeager. For me and Sheriff Gentle, it had been all night and all day and then all night. As far as I was concerned, I couldn't tell where I stopped and the saddle started. The only thing that made me feel worse was when I looked at Yeager riding alongside. He was just, well, he was just so darn cheerful.
This time next week, you could be at the end of a rope.
Well, I tell you, Mr. Bonner, it ain't that often an innocent man gets hung. Now, we'll see this Mr. Danfield of yours, and he'll see me. Then we'll all feel a lot better, and I'll be on my way to Utah.
Or someplace.
Sheriff! Hold up a minute. Would that be the man you're after looking for?
Afraid Homer Danfield will have to be the one to tell us that.
Homer Danfield. God rest his soul. Homer Danfield won't be telling anybody anything. He left us just a little bit before midnight.
Well, now, that's a pity.
You're a fine one to be calling it that?
Did Homer say anything before he passed away?
Not a thing. Nary a word. Well, I have me chores to be doing now. I'll be off to Danfield's after that.
Thank you, Sean.
Well, looks like I lost my star witness.
Well, one of us did. I don't know which.
What do we do now, Sheriff?
Now, that is a question. Just what would you do, Vince?
I'd be gol darn glad I wasn't the sheriff. Sheriff.
I'm neutral.
So it seems. Look, you can't put the man on trial for murder just because he knows a song nobody else knows.
All right. Here's your money. Here's your gun.
Well, I'm real sorry I put you to all this trouble, Sheriff. Sure enjoyed your company, though. Yours too, Mr. Bonner.
Care to ride over to the Danfield place with me, Vince? Looks like we better start all over.
Let's go.
That's just what it amounted to. Hours and hours of riding for nothing.
And what are you going to do now, Sheriff?
Blamed if I know. Got a vague description that fits most anybody, and a few silly words out of a song that nobody ever heard of.
You didn't tell us the fellow's name yet, Sheriff.
Jaeger.
Toby Yeager.
Yeager? That's not the fellow that used to work for the railroads, is it?
That's right, Mike. Leastwise, that's what he says.
Well, it's a good job that we didn't hang him.
And why's that?
I'll tell you why. He was with me till well up in the evening the other night. Both of us got into a poker game over at Red Philpott's.
You did, huh?
So you're after that being at it again, are you, Michael O'Hara? Losing your good money in a poker game, have you?
Now, you can't lose money from a fella like Yeager. At least he's not the second time round.
Why not?
Because he's a bluffer. You know, he's got the best poker face I ever saw in any man, and always the worst hand to go with it.
How did the game turn out?
Poor Yeager. He just took all his pay from the railroad, and he lost every last cent of it.
How much would that be?
Oh, I don't know, $50, $60 maybe?
Wish my horse weren't so plumb tuckered out. Because he's really got to do some traveling. Hello, Yeager. Don't let me stop you. Go right ahead.
Ain't it a small world? No matter which way I go, Mr. Bonner, I seem bound to run into you.
Sure does seem that way, doesn't it?
Why don't you sit down and have a bite to eat with me?
You know, it sure would have saved a lot of wear and tear on that guitar of yours if I'd have known you were a poker player. You do like poker, don't you?
Oh, sure. I like a good game of poker now and again.
You play a cool, steady game?
Why do you ask that?
I figure sometimes you can look at a man and figure out what kind of a hand he plays. You, for instance. I figure you'd pick up 3 cards to fill a straight.
You sure can't spot him, Mr. Bonner.
You drew 1 card too many.
I ain't sure I follow you, Mr. Bonner.
That money you're carrying, that isn't railroad money. You lost your pay in a poker game 2 nights ago. Mike O'Hara was sitting in the game.
Well, supposing he was.
That was the cards you needed.
Oh?
I suppose we go back to Peaceful. You explain where you got that $48.
Much obliged to you, Vince.
I'm glad I could help you, Sheriff.
You know, if we hadn't got that man, I might have had to charge you with it. 'Cause after all, you knew that song, too.
I'm afraid you'll be learning it yourself one of these days, Sheriff.
We'll take that out of him in a hurry.
Mr. Bonner.
I hope I run into you again sometime.
Well, that'd be nice.
Smithers asked me to hunt him up some blooded Hereford stock. I just naturally headed for Bountiful. It was a kind of town where you enjoyed doing business. Or at least so I'd always thought.
Hey, squarehead! Not so fast.
What do you want?
You got mud on you, men here. Well, men here, don't they teach you common politeness where you come from? Don't you thank a man when he does you a favor?
You did me no favor. I do not thank you.
Come, Papa. We got to go.
That's right, Papa. Do what the lady says. You're gonna thank me first.
I do not thank you.
Oh, you won't.
Better. Be quiet.
Now, Papa, you ready to speak your piece?
You've had your fun. Now move along.
Just a minute. Who you think you're shoving?
I said move along.
Why, you...
I know you mean well, but I cannot thank you for violence. I didn't expect any thanks. As a matter of fact, I kind of enjoyed it.
Howdy.
Could you tell me where the Durant place is? I understand they have some pretty good blooded stock.
Best in the valley. Down the road there, 3 or 4 miles. Can't miss it. Strange people.
What do you mean?
You saw 'em. Do 'em a good turn like you did, and what happens? Spit in your face. I don't need their trade.
Did they want to buy something?
Sure. I told them they could get their stuff somewhere else.
What did they want?
Oh, side meat, flour, the usual.
Didn't they have any money?
They can pay, all right. I just don't want nothing to do with their kind.
Get it.
Huh?
Get out what they wanted. You forgot your groceries.
Why do you do this?
Well, I talked to the groceryman, and he said as long as I was heading this way,
I will pay him.
don't bother. You put it on your book. You pay any time you want.
Oh, thank you. You're a good man.
I also thank you, Mr.
Bonner. Pimp Bonner.
And my name is Johann Hoffman. And this is my wife and my son, Peter.
Mrs. Hoffman? Peter? Well, I guess I better run along if I want to get to Duran's ranch by sundown. Goodbye.
You see, Papa, there are good people, even out here.
You heard? He says he goes to Durand.
But, Papa, that means nothing.
Greta, so many times we have been hurt, and yet you still hope. Better to expect nothing. It gives less pain.
I got 800 head ready for market. We'll ride out in the morning and I'll show them to you.
That'll be fine. Mrs. Duran, that's one of the best meals I ever tasted.
Well, you're very kind, Mr. Bonner. I feel terrible about not baking today, but what we're getting ready for the fall terminal...
Oh, now, Amy, don't apologize. Amy's a school teacher here, you know.
Oh? How does it feel having your mother for a school teacher?
Awful.
Oh, you mean she doesn't give you an edge in arithmetic?
Gosh, no. She's tougher on me.
I think I met a schoolmate of yours today. A boy named Hoffman, Peter Hoffman. Do you know him?
Chris, you be a good boy and go to the kitchen and start the dishes. I'm glad you didn't talk in front of the boy, John.
Amy, I don't know why I can't say what I want in my own house. Ever since that family of squareheads took it in their heads to settle on a piece of land down the road...
They had a perfect right to do that.
Maybe so. We don't want strangers here. Not their kind, anyway.
What's wrong with their kind? They bought a farm. They've been working hard. They've been here almost a year now. How can you call them strangers?
You know, some people don't fit in if they live in a place all their lives.
Has anybody ever asked them to fit in? Has anybody ever invited them to be a part of the community or even tried to make them feel welcome? You look at that boy of theirs. He belongs in school, but he's afraid to go. He's afraid of being hurt and rebuffed. I'm going over there myself and talk to the Hoffmans about Peter.
You'll do nothing of the sort. I don't want you mixing with them, you understand? Now look, honey. Mr. Bonner came here to talk cattle, not squareheads. Come on, Hummer, let's go out on the porch and get some fresh air.
Watering on Crooked Creek, boss.
It's quite a stretch. It'll be dark time we get there. What do you say we sit comfortable in the house and start out in the morning?
The ones I've seen are fine-looking beef. Almost be worth staying overnight for.
Not only that, you get another chance at one of Amy's dinners.
Twist my arm. Say, that's a neat-looking little place. Who does it belong to?
Well, there he is. Old squarehead himself.
Oh, Mr. Hoffman. I met him today in town.
Yeah, I heard you did.
Look at him there. Wonder if he'd stand up so feisty if I ran a herd through his place.
Lay off that talk, Rhett. I don't want trouble.
Nothing riles me like a fence in cattle country.
It's legal, isn't it?
Well, let's get back to the house.
I think I'll stay around a while. I'd like to say hello.
You like it?
Mama, how can anyone not like Hasenpfeffer? It is old country dish.
I noticed you brought some other things from the old country. I saw your stand of alfalfa as I rode up. Your husband is as good a farmer as you are a cook, Miss Hoffman.
In old country, it is different. There, everybody helps. In planting, harvesting, haying. Not like here.
How about you, Peter? You gonna be a farmer, too, when you grow up?
I guess so.
Well, you've got a good example to shoot at.
You are very kind. But Peter does not want to be farmer. Not like old country. Here, boys have new ideas.
Oh? What do you want to be, Peter?
A surveyor.
That's good. It takes a lot of book learning, doesn't it? What grade are you in at school?
I'm not going to school.
It's too bad. Because I know Mrs. Duran would like to have you. She told me so.
She did not say that.
Papa, Mr. Bonner is our guest.
I don't blame you for being surprised, Mr. Hoffman, but the fact is, she doesn't feel the same way her husband does. That's the truth.
See, Papa, she wants him. Peter has been so sad. He has the hunger to learn like other boys have the hunger for food. Now you can go to school.
It is better not to talk about it. We ask no favors. Mr. Bonner, I want to show you something. Take my hand.
All right.
Go. And push me down, yeah?
Oh, I know this. Let's try that again, shall we?
Good, good, yeah, yeah. Ready?
Just once more, huh?
Oh, good, yeah, yeah. Oh, to know I am not coward.
I never thought you were.
I am taught when God gives man strength, it is to help, not to hurt.
That's a fine idea. Well, I'd best be getting along. Mrs. Hoffman, will be a long time before I forget that meal. Surveyor, huh? A friend of mine was a surveyor. The last time I heard of him, he was laying out the right-of-way for a transcontinental railroad. I'm going to feel this for a week. I wonder how long Peter will suffer if you don't unbend a little. Good night.
Good night.
Mr. Hoffman, I'm delighted you brought Peter to school.
He is a good boy. He wants to learn.
I know you're going to be very happy here, Peter. Now, you run play with the children till the bell rings.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hoffman, I know this wasn't an easy decision for you to make. I'm glad you made it.
I hope I do not make mistake. Good day, Mrs. Durant.
Now, boys and girls, this is Peter Hoffman. I want you to make him feel welcome. Bell in 5 minutes.
Good day, Mrs. Durant. Look at me, I'm a square. Give me my hat.
Mr. Hoffman, I'm terribly sorry.
I don't like to abuse your hospitality, Mr. Duran. I could just as easily have stayed at the hotel.
Nonsense. We like company. Besides, I ain't letting you out of my sight till we close that deal.
Don't worry about those cattle. They're prime.
Tomorrow, I'll help you line up a couple of trail hands. Hi there, Chris. How was everything at school?
All right, I guess.
Hadn't you better get washed up for dinner?
I already ate, Pop.
Kids.
And Chris, the ringleader of it all. The poor boy lying there in the dirt. And when he got up, Chris struck him again. The look that man gave me when he picked up his child.
Amy, honey, you're making a mountain out of a molehill. So the kids were fighting. What of it? Happens all the time.
This wasn't a fight. This was persecution. My own son, a bully.
The other kid's got fists, ain't he? Why didn't he fight back?
You know perfectly well why. John, it's attitudes like yours that start the trouble. The children hear from their parents. Instead of respecting another man's belief, you ridicule him just because he's different.
I've had enough schoolteacher lectures. You must think we fight all the time. We don't. Only since that cussed squarehead moved into this country.
That's right. Blame it on him.
Amy, I've listened to all I'm going to. Now, we're a couple of hungry men. How about some dinner?
I want you to know I'm deeply ashamed that my own son could do such a thing. He did not mean to hurt.
Mama.
No, I don't excuse him, or myself either. I can only promise you it will not happen again.
Peter does not go back.
Papa, it would be different. Mrs. Durant says so.
Mrs. Durant, I know you think I'm only stubborn man. But what I really feel, you do not understand.
I think I do.
For myself, I have no fear. If God wills that I suffer, I do not complain. But the boy, he's so young.
Mr. Hoffman, everybody must fight for what he really wants and needs. Oh, I don't mean with the fists. There are other ways. I hope you'll change your mind.
Amy, for the last time, will you tell me what that skunk did to you?
John, he had nothing to do with it. The horse shied at a rabbit and threw me.
I don't believe it. You've been shielding him long enough.
John, what are you doing?
We've had nothing but trouble since those people came into this valley. I've taken a lot, but when he starts hiding behind a woman's skirt...
Mr. Duran, don't go off half-cocked. I found your wife a mile from the Hoffmans, thrown by her horse, just like she said.
You stay out of this, Bonner. Let's go, Ray.
John, please! Mr. Bonner, you gotta do something. John will kill him.
I don't think he'd shoot an unarmed
You
man.
don't know him when he's excited. Please stop it.
Take it easy, Mr. Ray.
There's a lot of boys will be disappointed not to be on this one.
Yeah. I'll do what I can.
Oh, no.
Hey, man.
This is my land. I do no harm, and I hide from no man.
Mr. Hoffman, principle may be a fine thing, but a little discretion can save a lot of trouble.
I do not cause trouble. He does. Peter, go to the house.
All right, Hoffman, I'm going to take you apart.
Duran, cool off.
I told you once to stay out of this, Bonner.
Believe me, Mr. Durant, I'd like nothing better.
There he is, boys. Let's get him.
Hold it right where you are.
So it's you. Let's rush him. He can only get one of us.
Who wants to be the first one?
There's the one I want, boys. You can do what you like after I finish with him.
You keep your gun belt on.
What do you mean?
What I said goes for you too, Duran. You'll have to go through me if you want to get to him.
Here's that cattle deal doesn't mean very much to you, Bonner.
You're wrong. That deal meant a lot to me. But I'm not going to stand by while you beat up a man who won't fight back.
He's pretty brave facing a woman. Let's see how he stands up to a man.
I want no bloodshed. I do not like that you lose your business because you defend me. I must ask you to step aside, Mr. Bonner.
Mr. Hoffman, if I understand it properly, you were taught to love your enemies. Is that right?
Sure.
And if you love someone, it's fitting and proper to show some form of affection to them. Is that right? Like a hug. A bear hug.
A hug? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can do this, yeah.
All right, I'll keep an eye on these boys while Mr. Hoffman gives us a demonstration of brotherly love. He's all yours, Duran.
Let me go! Let me go! Stop him killing me! Let me go! Stop him killing me!
Here's one who can use a little brotherly love, too. Show a little affection to this digging tool.
My enemies! I love you all!
They say you can't change people overnight, and by and large, that's true. But sometimes you're lucky enough to be in on the beginning of a change, and you get a good feeling about what's going to come. Like I said in the beginning, Bountiful sure was a nice little town. A man's kind of dumb to team up with anybody who has the name of Wild Horse Willie, rounding up wild Mustangs in South Texas and then running and walking them clear to Nebraska can make you just a little weary. The payoff when we sold the Bronx was better than trail wages, but I promised myself I'd stick to riding herd for a while. Less fussing, less cussing, and easier on the seat of my pants.
Sam Bass, he came from Indiana, it was his native state. He came clear out to Texas, and there he met his fate. Sam always drank good liquor and spent his money free, and a kind-hearted fella you seldom ever see.
Sounded pretty good.
You look about as frazzled as me, cowboy.
Well, that could be. Of course, I'm a mite drier.
Well, this ought to buck you up. Nothing like a shot of red eye. I was mighty pretty. Sorry I had to see that, friend. Makes it kind of embarrassing.
For you or for me?
Could be both, I reckon. Maybe you heard of me. Ben Reed. Busted out of Fort Lyon. The reward should be pretty sizable.
I heard of you.
You might be tempted to spoil a pleasant meeting of strangers for mere money. Me, I'd be more than tempted to stop you. Awful embarrassing.
I'm not a bounty hunter, if that's what you mean.
You know, I like your manner, friend. I take your word. Now, be on your way. I want to get this leg iron off. You said you're no bounty hunter. I say I never shot a man in the back. So what do we do?
Well, I wouldn't like to put temptation in your way, so suppose we do it this way. I think it's only fair to tell you that I feel duty-bound to report this to the first lawman I see.
Well, that's fair enough. I'll be in the next state.
Jail had changed. It looked more inviting than the hotel.
Hey, Milt. Well, if it ain't Vent Bonner, well, I'm a hung jury in the Pollock. How are you, boy?
Good, good. Say, this must be my day for meeting up with drinking men.
Well, am I glad to see you.
If I remember correctly, you were looking out from behind these same bars the last time I saw you, and that's more than a couple of years ago.
Well, now, as a matter of fact, that's the story of my life, either in front of the bars or behind them. I haven't missed more than 2 Saturday nights since I built the place.
You're living in style. Say, who fancied up the jail?
Oh, we got a brand new sheriff. He might need a few pointers here and there, but I'm telling you, in a fight, he's just as cool as a polecat in the moonlight. Why, you ought to have seen him tonight. Hey, is that you, Sheriff? Come back here. I want you to meet an old friend of mine, huh? Sheriff Billy, Vent Bonner.
Glad to know you, Sheriff.
Well, pleased to meet you, Mr. Bonner. Come along out of there, Milt.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Milt, why don't you try skipping next Saturday?
Well, Sheriff, you know I do try. That's my one virtue, you know. Well, come on, Vent. Thanks for the hospitality, Sheriff.
Sheriff, I ran into a drunk on a trail about 12 miles northeast of here. Said he'd just broken out of Fort Lyon. Called himself Ben Reed. We threw down on each other at the same time. It was a standoff. Peculiar kind of fellow. I don't know which way he was headed.
Well, I'll get a message off to Fort Lyon, see if I can get some information on him.
Thought I ought to tell you.
Mr. Bonner, I've heard quite a bit about you since I came to town. Folks say you cover a lot of territory.
I get around some.
Did you ever hear of a man named Blake Riddle?
Blake Riddle. Can't say as I have. Relative?
My father.
Supposed to be in this country somewhere?
No, not here in Cooper Springs. Somewhere in the territory.
You haven't heard from him lately, is that it?
I've never heard from him. I've never even seen him.
Well, tell me some more about it.
I was asking for information, not for help and sympathy, Mr. Bonner. Something strike you funny, mister?
Oh, don't mind my sense of humor, young friend. It's just that the sight of you wearing that star gives me that safe, good feeling.
Hi. You, like the flowers?
They're real pretty.
You acted so funny in church this morning, I wasn't sure whether you'd be here.
I'm sorry, Annie. And that's the way it's always going to be. Till I do what I have to do. Believe me, I don't want to hurt you.
Don't you think I know that? The thing that hurts is to see what you're doing to yourself.
I got to keep looking for him. Till I know for sure where he is. How I made out. Well, after all, he's my father.
I can't fight against a ghost, darling.
I'll come back someday when I'm sure.
I can't promise I'll wait for that someday, Bill. Let's get one thing straight. I'm not a woman who'll do anything to get a man, any man, just because she'll never have another chance. This is hard to say, Bill, but there'll be somebody else that I can live with and respect and learn to love.
I can't help myself.
I'm sorry for you then. For both of us.
Brent, you haven't been paying much attention to me.
I'm sorry, old-timer. I was just thinking.
Thinking. That's the way it starts with me every Friday night.
Matter of fact, I was thinking about that boy you got for a sheriff.
Yeah, you know, Vent, if I'm not mighty wrong, that boy's going to be moving on.
Well, it's only natural for a boy to want to know more about his father, especially if he's never seen him.
No, that boy belongs right here in this town and married up with Annie White.
He sure closed up tight on me. Do you know the story about his folks?
Well, it seems that his father brought his mother out west, and she was a delicate type. Pioneering was too rough on her. And just before Billy was born, she gave up, went back home. And after she died, Billy come out here. And then Billy was going through an old trunk of his mother's and found a letter from his daddy. In it, he said he planned to buy a ranch up in Nebraska, someplace. She never did answer that letter.
No, it can't be. We don't have shooting scrapes in this town.
Bill? Be careful, please.
You got one now.
This is on me, Sheriff. Ben Reed. You hired me.
That's Ben Reed, the one I told you about.
Oh.
Fine. And I know right where to take him. He may be drunk, but he's still dangerous.
Now let Ben help you, boy. You were new at this game.
Thanks. Thanks all the same.
Break out your best, bartender. This might be my last fling, and I want all my old friends here to help me jubilate. Well, do like I say.
I'll take that gun, Mr. Reed.
Where'd you come from, Sonny? I saw you before, but I thought you was playing hooky from Sunday school.
I'm sheriff of this town, mister.
I thought I told you to pour that liquor. Put that bottle down.
Nobody here takes a drink till I put this man where he belongs. You under arrest, mister.
Oh, that's too bad. Most boys your age would like to think of all they got to live for. But maybe you're different.
Maybe I am.
Oh, what's your name, Sonny? Oh, just for the record. I always like to know a man's name before there's any unpleasantness.
Riddle. Sheriff Bill Riddle. You gonna hand over that gun?
Well?
I know what you mean.
I never drink Sundays after I eat. That's my one virtue. But
I'll have one with you.
That's personal property. You got a right to the gun and the belt, but that there belongs to me. I'd be obliged if you'd hand it over.
I don't believe it. He had it stuck in his gun belt. The only way I could find him was to meet up with him this way. Boy, this is sure my lucky day. There he is. A thief, outlaw, and a killer. My father. That's why I let me take him without lifting a finger. You said yourself it'd be too hard to take.
Look, boy, just because the man let you arrest him doesn't prove kinship. He could have come by this locket a number of ways.
I'm going to take him out on the prairie and let him go on his way. My mother must have seen something in him once. At least thought she did.
Where are you going, Bud?
I won't be long. I'm going to go talk to Annie.
Now, don't do anything foolish. You belong in this town. Annie's just a gal for you. Now, listen to old Mill.
You sober?
Yeah, I'm sober.
Is he really your son, or is this just another out for you?
Yeah, I'm his father. Fine-looking boy, ain't he?
So you'd better start looking around for that somebody else you was talking about, Annie.
But the people will understand about your father, Bill. That you do what you think you have to.
They put their faith in me. No questions asked. I'm not letting them down. I'm standing by my father.
But, Bill... I'll wait, or I'll join you anywhere you say. Oh, don't you understand?
Nope. What you said for makes a lot better sense. Bye, Annie.
She came from Indiana. It was his native state. He came clear out to Texas, and there
What do you suppose he got it? Oh, maybe he had it in his pocket.
Sam always drank good liquor and spent his money free.
Where'd he get the whiskey?
We were just wondering the same thing.
You give it to him, Milt?
No, honest to Pete, I didn't.
So you're gonna let your poor old man off easy, are you?
What are you talking about?
You wouldn't even drive behind the ears. The idea of a kid of mine being a sheriff, that's good for a laugh.
Keep talking.
I never thought a piece of junk I took off a desert man would cause such a fuss.
You explain that. What dead man?
Well, it was over the Whitetail, a town on the North Platte, about 10 years ago. Some folks over there got the idea that me and some other boys held up a bank. A safety committee came after us. There was a lot of shooting, and they pulled out fast. But they left 2 men dead. One of them was carrying a locket.
Hey, you killed him?
Well, how should I know? There was a lot of shooting.
That locket wasn't worth much. Why would you steal it off a dead man?
No. It had a picture of a right pretty woman in it. I figured it was the rancher's wife. Well, I got the notion that I might drop by and see her sometime. I always had a way with the women. And she might get a little lonely.
What's it up? Don't kill him.
Wouldn't help anything. At least, now you know. You gonna be all right?
Yep. Sure. I was a fool to let myself believe a man like that. We better get started for Fort Line. I'll get the horses.
You believe me?
I couldn't say I do. I knew about that robbery in Whitetail. Wasn't 10 years ago, it was more like 3 or 4.
You've got a good memory.
And that posse that went out after you. They came back without firing a shot. I knew every man in it. There wasn't one named Little.
One thing is true, though.
What's that?
His father is dead. And I killed him.
What?
My wife left me. But she never answered my letters. That's when I killed a man his father was. Or whatever he hoped to be. That was when I crossed the line. That was when I became Ben Reed. That was the end of Blake Riddle.
But I'd say there's more of Blake Riddle here today than Ben Reed.
Thanks a lot, old friend. That helps. And like I said on the trail, I like your manner. I like it real well.
Mr. Bonner. You tell Annie I'll be back. Tell her why.
I'll tell her, Bill.
Thanks. Bill? In my desk drawer, there's a deputy badge. You put it on till I get back, yeah?
Me? Well, I can't even take care of myself.
Ain't nothing wrong with you, Bill. Not between Sunday and Friday, anyway.
Deputy, huh? I heard a saying one time. There's so much bad in the best of us and so much good in the worst of us that it ill behooves any of us to talk about the rest of us. I'd been shot at before, plenty. And I'd been hit a couple of times too. But it's not something you get used to.
Take it easy, Vin. Here, take a little of this. Take it easy. There we are. He was lucky in a way. Just missed his gizzard and lights. Didn't break any bones either. He's lost considerable blood, but I expect he'll make that up.
First bank I put my money in gets robbed. It's your bank, too.
Better get him to bed now and get somebody to watch him. Where am I going to put him to bed? Over at the hotel where you live is as good a place as any. If I can't find anybody to nurse him, you'll probably have to do it yourself. Well, if it takes that to get him well, I'll do it.
I just hope I'm lucky enough to meet up with Jesse Drake sometime. I don't mind so much losing the $300, though it took me a year to save it.
But I just don't relish getting shot twice by the same man.
Don't go getting yourself upset, Vince. You know the doctor said for you to keep quiet.
Don't get yourself upset. What else can I do? I'm lying in bed here with 2 holes in me. How long did he say it'd take me to heal up?
He said it'd take a good 3 weeks or a month.
3 weeks or a month while I'm lying in bed and he's gallivanting around on my money. Well,
get your food.
How much did you lose?
Oh, about $150.
$150, is that all?
Yeah, I had about that much in the cash drawer. I had most of the bank's money stashed under a floorboard near the old safe.
What?
Well, you see, I never believed much in banks before I got to be a banker.
Just fine. So most of the money he got was mine.
Don't worry, Vint. I'll make it up to you.
Make it up to me nothing. Just tell the doctor to get me well so I can find that Jesse Drake and make it up for myself.
Come in.
I was told I could find Mr. Bonner here.
Well, I'm Mr. Bonner, ma'am. What can I do for you?
Oh, you poor boy. What happened to you?
Well, I got shot. Who are you?
Your Aunt Emma. Emma Bonner Bancroft.
You really are my Aunt Emma, aren't you?
Sure I am.
Well, how's Uncle Joe?
Oh, he died about 15 years ago. Then my youngest daughter got married last year. She wasn't quite 23. I thought she'd never get married. Married a railroad man. I got my tickets half rate.
Couldn't. Well, Aunt Emma, this is Ethan Greenfield. He's a friend of mine.
Pleased to know you, sir. And then you know what happened, Vint? I just remembered about you. Here you were, all alone in the world, with nobody to take care of you. So I thought, I'll just go take care of him myself. And it looks to me I was none too soon, because here you are, flat on your back, with no more sense than to let yourself get shot.
Look, Aunt Emma, I didn't let myself get shot. You see, the Drake brothers tried to rob Ethan's bank here.
You mean to tell me my nephew got shot protecting your bank? And what were you doing?
Miss Bancroft, it wasn't no fault of mine. Well, you see, these Drake brothers...
He's right, Aunt Emma. You see, if it hadn't have been for him coming up with a double-barrel shotgun, I'd be in worse shape than I am now.
Yeah, well, Vince, it looks like I can leave you in good hands now and get back to mine in the bank. And, well, by the way, Miss Bancroft, where you going to live?
Well, now, I just didn't plan that far.
Well, now, I have a nice little house out here in the edge of town I took in on a trade last month. I'd be glad for you and Vint to use it until he gets better.
Well, that's mighty nice of you, Mr. Greenfield. Don't you think so, nephew?
Well, yes, ma'am, I guess so.
Yeah, well, that's fine. Well, I'll be saying goodbye. Goodbye, Miss Bancroft.
Goodbye, Mr. Greenfield. Well, now, isn't that nice? I've got me someone to take care of, we've got a place to live, and everything's going to be fine. Just fine.
But Aunt Emma, I'm just not a staying sort of fella. I'm used to being on the move.
Well, it's high time you lived someplace. I've heard about that gun of yours, so wonder you haven't been killed a dozen times. From the stories I hear back in Kansas, why, they even have a name for you back there.
Oh?
The six-shooter, that's what they call you.
No.
As though the name of Bonner weren't good enough. Well, don't you worry. After we've lived here peacefully a few years.
A few years? Now, you listen to me, Aunt Emma. I never stayed in any place.
Now, Vint, you've just got to stop sleeping on the floor beside the bed. After all, beds are made to sleep on.
But, Aunt Emma, I never slept in a bed more than 2 nights running in my whole life. I don't know why. I just can't sleep in beds, that's all.
Vint!
Yes'm?
You learn, boy. You learn. Now, nephew, why don't you put that gun away? Mr. Greenfield?
Just on my way home, thought I'd stop by and see how your nephew's getting along.
Oh, he's getting along just fine. Too well, in fact. Acting like a caged lion, only been out of bed a week.
And that's the longest I ever stayed in bed, too.
Hello, Vin.
Howdy, Ethan. How are things at the bank?
Oh, just the same. Business as usual.
Say, the sheriff ever got a lead on the Drake brothers?
Not a sign. He lost track of them about a mile out of town. Sheriff can't figure it out. Vin, how'd you like to take a little walk with me? The fresh air do you good.
That's fine. I like that very much.
I think it best if he stay in.
Now, listen, Aunt Emma. I'm no boy to be wrapped up in cotton batting.
Oh, he's a big boy now, Miss Bancroft.
None of you men ever get to be big boys. But I'll go get your coat out and see that you bundle up.
Yes, ma'am.
Even the best of them's like a ball and chain. Now here you are after being took care of only 2 weeks and mired down like a hog in quicksand. Now I'm not saying she wasn't helpful at first. But with a man, there's a limit to being took care of. I got a feeling about women that if you ain't sick enough to be took care of, they'll make you sick enough.
Oh, I don't know. Aunt Emma isn't so bad. She means well, and she's a darn good cook.
And Vince, you know I'm speaking the truth.
I still say she means well. Say, Ethan, did you put that money back in the safe?
Well, I've been kind of putting it off. Since it was only robbed 2 weeks ago, I didn't think it was any hurry.
Ethan, you're a responsible banker, and a responsible banker doesn't leave money under the floor of the bank. Now, why don't you do something about it right now? Oh, come on.
Well, all right, come on inside. You can go home, Bob. It's almost time to lock up anyway.
Where is it?
Stand on it.
Huh?
Stand on it. Probably just safe here it would be in that old tin can.
So that's where the old goat put the money.
You won't forget that combination. Left 3, right 42. I hope you're satisfied.
Say, Ethan, what did you do before you became a banker?
Oh, well, when I was in the Army, I was in charge of what they call the sanitation facilities.
Who would have figured it was right under our noses all the time?
Well, now that you know, we can get it tonight, huh?
No, Jed, we're not going to get it tonight. We're going to wait till Friday. Month-end deposits will be in by the end of the week. That ought to add $4,000 or $5,000 to the take.
But, Jess, I can't hide here much longer. It's tough enough to get food to you. My wife's been asking questions.
You do like Jess says.
Must be $20,000 or $25,000 in that bank across the street. Now, you wouldn't expect 1/3 of that without going to a little trouble, would you, Jed?
All right, Jess. All right, I can handle it a few more days, but no longer, eh? This is a small town, and somebody's bound to wonder what I'm doing up in this old loft all the time.
Friday will be the night, Jed. No longer.
That'll be fine, Jess. Just fine. Well, I better go.
It's time to get up. Vince, get up off that floor.
What is it?
It's time to get up and your breakfast is ready. I told you a dozen times not to sleep on that floor. What do you think beds are made for?
Put on, Emma. I like sleeping on the floor.
But it's not civilized and you're liable to catch cold. If other people can sleep on a bed, well, so can you.
Aunt Emma, look, I'm a grown man and I'm a little set in my ways, so stop telling me what to do. What? Oh, don't cry, Aunt Emma. Look,
I'm sorry. I appreciate the way you've taken care of me and everything, but I'm a little naturally a little grumpy in the morning, so dry those eyes, will you?
Your breakfast is all ready.
I'll be right out, Anna. I'll be right out.
And
I'll be right out.
How does your shoulder feel, Bent?
It feels pretty good. Doctor says it's getting better. He says the more I use it, the better it'll be.
Well, then maybe you wouldn't mind doing me a little favor.
Of course.
You know, the grates in the stove have been slipping down. I thought you might like to fix them for me.
I'll be glad to.
And then those shingles on the roof, they need fixing too. And now when I come to think of it, the outside of this house needs a coat of paint or whitewash.
Anima, listen to me. You sound like we're going to spend the rest of our life here or something.
Oh, now, Vink, you know how women are. They like to see things neat.
Well, I'm going down to town.
Maybe a little later you could make a new gate for the fence.
Well, I'll talk to you about it later. Later on, Emma.
Morning, Ethan.
Morning.
Don't tell me you're eating cold beans for breakfast.
They're good and nourishing. Says that they're cheap.
Well, all I can say is it's nothing like I had for breakfast. I had a fresh slice of ham, good and hot, with the fat browned on the edges, just the way I like it. So tender you could cut it with a fork. And 3 eggs, basted, flaky around the edges, and corn sticks, hot, fresh out of the oven. And honey and butter.
What else?
Oh, some donuts rolled in heavy sugar. Of course, she made those yesterday afternoon. She usually makes them fresh for me every morning for breakfast. And Aunt Emma's hot coffee. Say, Ethan, why don't you come over and have dinner with us soon?
Huh?
Well, I'm sure Aunt Emma'd like to fix dinner for both of us.
Oh, I couldn't do this.
She said something about, tonight, for instance, she said something about rare roast beef and deep dish hot apple pie.
What time?
Well, let's say about 5 o'clock for supper. You come early. Finish your breakfast.
Oh, Aunt Emma?
What in the world do you got there?
Well, I thought it might help out if I'd pick up a few things for dinner.
Well, you got everything we need.
Well, tell the truth, I went by to see Ethan. And I got to thinking about how he saved my life and how I just never would be able to repay him.
Nasty old bachelor.
Oh, but Aunt Emma, he's not that way at all. Not at all. It's just that nobody ever took the trouble to understand him. Just think of it. An old soldier, having held high position in the army, turned loose after the war to make his way all over again, even though he wasn't young, uncared for, unloved. Do you know what he was doing this morning when I was at the bank? I hate to tell you, but he was eating cold beans out of a can for breakfast.
Well, that was kind of foolish. He could have had some breakfast at the hotel.
But Aunt Emma, he's a responsible banker. He has the interest of his depositors at heart. There he was, with a ledger in one hand and a cold can of beans in the other. That's why I thought I might repay him somewhat by asking him over to dinner tonight. Well, Aunt Emma, I didn't mean to make you cry.
He never could get used to onions.
Here's the key I got for you. It fits the bank door. You don't think anything will go wrong, do you?
Nothing will go wrong now, Jed.
You put the horses where we told you to? Yeah, they're right out behind the bank.
Well, I guess we better get started.
I'll be waiting for you up at the fork for my share.
Why don't we give him his share now, Link?
I got let out another notch in my belt.
Fine cook, isn't she?
Yeah.
Ethan, I've been wanting to talk to you.
Go right ahead, Vin. Go right ahead.
Well, you see, Aunt Emma's my next of kin, and she's my responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm getting at is, what are your intentions?
What?
Your intentions toward Aunt Emma.
Oh, see what you're driving at. You got nothing to worry about, Vince.
I haven't?
Oh, I'm really fond of Aunt Emma, and not just her cooking, too. Under other circumstances, I might even ask her to marry me.
You might? Well, Ethan, what are the circumstances?
Vince, you're a friend of mine. Maybe my best friend. I'd be the last man in the world to cause you any misery. But now that you've found a nice home for yourself, I just couldn't break it up.
No, Ethan, don't be hasty. Don't
take my word for it. You can live with your Aunt Emma as long as you like. I'll come over for dinner once in a while, but I'll never interfere.
But Ethan, I want you to interfere.
Huh?
Well, I'll level with you. I'm itching to get back on the trail. But I just can't go away and leave Aunt Emma all alone here.
Now, Vin, I always knew you were considered sort of a fella, and this just goes to prove it, offering to give up all this. Why, no man but a fool would walk away from Aunt Emma's cooking, and you're no fool.
Now, Ethan, you're gonna marry Aunt Emma.
No, it's not in there.
But you saw him put it there, Jess. You sure it's not in the floorboard?
No. I wonder where the old fool hid it this time. Take a look back there.
Vince, I'm sorry, but I just couldn't let you make the sacrifice.
There's supposed to be someone in your bank?
No, there sure isn't.
You're not wearing a gun, you better stay here. Or better than that, go get the sheriff.
Get on.
Wait outside. Who's ever in there has to come through that front door.
You can wait out here, but Vince in there.
Ethan!
at all.
Doctor, is he going to be all right?
He'll need considerable nursing, but with proper care, he'll be good as new in no time.
Oh, I'll take good care of him.
Here, Ethan, have a drink. You know, if Aunt Emma here is going to take care of you, you won't need me around anymore.
Vin, leave.
Of course, I don't know what the townspeople are going to say if you two live in the same house together while you're getting better.
Emma, if you're willing, I'm willing.
Oh, I'm a willing.
Oh, when I'm licked. Give me another drink.
Sure. Say, Ethan, where did you put the money this time?
It's in the shoebox on top of my desk. Never believed in banks anyway.
Just after spring roundup time that I received word that Jeff Giffen, an old buffalo hunter and an old friend, was dying, and he wanted to see me.
Someone's to door. What'd you come for?
Well, I came to see Jess. Is he...
Not yet, but he's fixing to. You a friend of his?
Yes, ma'am. He sent for me. My name is Vint Bonner.
So you're him. Well, come on in. It's the one he was asking about.
Sure took you long enough to get here. Get! Sit down. Wayland Banshees, a whole lot of them.
Jess, you don't look too bad.
I'm through. I know it.
Now, that's no way to talk, Jess.
Well, it's true. For myself, I don't mind going. I've lived long enough. But having to leave Mercy Day all alone, that's what's troubling me. Then, I gotta be sure that she's taken proper care of.
Well, that's only natural.
I figure that you're the one to see she gets it.
Oh, you mean you want me to take her to one of her relatives?
She ain't got no relatives. Not even kissing kin.
Well, Jess, you can't mean that you want me to...
I already told her. If she don't want to wind up like the rest of the women around here, she's got to get out of the mountains. Yeah, Vint, open that. There's $28 in there. She ain't never had no education. Ain't never even had a chance to learn manners. I gotta see that she gets it.
But, well, for Pete's sake, why did you pick on me?
Do you know anybody else that I can trust my daughter with?
Well,
good.
Well, the day after Jess's funeral, I rode out to get Mercy Day and take her on to Clay City.
If it wasn't her poor pa's dying wish, we wouldn't allow you to do this.
Oh, you poor thing. My heart bleeds for you.
No matter what your pa said, remember, he's a man.
Well, Mercedes, you ready?
Yep. Stove fire's out and cabin shut solid.
What's this?
Pappy said I was always to heat my gun.
Oh, well, you won't be needing it where we're going. It's all right. Will you? How about your clothes?
This here's all I got was fitting.
Well, we'll get you some new ones in town.
Huh?
Let's go.
My pappy said I was to jump when you say frog, and I aim to. But, what about Jub?
Jub?
Jub Buckstar. Well, he's going to be wondering what became of me.
Well, your pappy didn't say anything about any Jub. So if he wasn't worried about it, I don't guess I should be. Come on.
You take good care of her. You hear?
Yes, ma'am.
It took 2 days to get to town, and now that we were here, I was wondering what I was going to do with her. And then it came to me. Rolly Akins might be the answer to the whole thing. I knew Rolly had taken in a lot of gals in her time. Of course, I don't hardly believe none of them were as dirty as this one. Still, if I was going to find someone to teach to act like a lady, I didn't have much choice. Mercedes, let it alone. I'm sorry, miss.
Of a place like this before.
Oh, it's not as bad as it looks.
It's like a real fairy castle.
Yeah. Mercedes. You stay right here. I'll be back.
Pleasure me. Howdy.
Why, I declare, it can talk. Why, it must be you, but...
Rolly.
Vin, how are you?
Fine, thanks. How are you?
Fine.
Look, you see that girl over there? Well, I want you to take her over and...
Oh, now, Vin, you know I'd do almost anything for you, but
Rolly, look. I promised your pappy on his deathbed I'd do what I could. Now help me out, will you?
Are you sure that's a girl?
Come on, take a closer look. Mercedes, this is Miss Rolly Akins.
Ma'am?
She's gonna make a lady out of you like your pappy wanted.
Let's take a look at you, honey. Well, there really is a girl under all that dirt.
You think you can do something?
I'll give it a try. You go on over there, honey. We got work to do.
It's all right, Mr. I'll be over.
First time there's any trouble, Vint, out she goes.
There won't be any trouble. She's as gentle as a lamb.
Now give me the rest of them. No, my pappy said for me to... Ow! Don't argue with me, gal. Give me my clothes back.
Phew. Burn 'em. Well...
25, gentlemen.
It's up to you, Vin.
Oh.
Now, Mo, stop it. You gotta get clean. No, put it out. Let me go.
What in tarnation?
Now, Mo, stop it. You gotta get clean.
Woman's been murdered.
Raleigh! Mercedes!
Get away.
What's going on in there?
Get away with it. No, stop it.
Raleigh!
Come on, Vin. We'll break the door down.
Hold it. Raleigh, answer me!
You gotta get...
What do you want?
What?
Vin, you can't come in here. You leave me alone. I need to have no feeling. You gotta get clean, Mercedes.
You men can't come in here. Come on now. You got no business in here. Get out. Out. You two get out.
Oh, Mercedes, stop it. Let me go.
All right, gal. Water won't hurt you, but what I'm about to do will.
Morning, Raleigh.
Oh, good morning, Vince. Sit down and have some breakfast. You haven't eaten yet, have you?
No, can't much sleep either.
Neither did we. We've been up all night working on that friend of yours.
Oh?
You ready, gal? Well, come on out.
Yes, sir.
Are you going to pose there all day? Come out where Mr. Bonner can see you.
Yes, sir.
It's the shoes. It's going to take her a little time to get used to them, Vince. All right, honey, you can take them off.
I got a water blister for sure.
Well, sit down. And don't forget the manners I taught you.
Smell me. Ain't that something?
That's something.
Ain't never used no stuff like that before, except maybe some crushed mint here and there.
Well, how do you like being dressed up in a fine dress like that?
Oh, I like it fine. Except maybe Judd would think it was putting on.
Judd? Who's he?
Oh, some mountain pup she left back there.
Yesterday.
Mercedes, put it down.
But I'm hungry.
Well, you don't do it that way. Here, take this and this, and you, no. There. Hey.
Hey, you. Put my mule up for me, you hear?
Yes, sir.
Wait a minute. You hear tell of a man named Vint Bonner?
Vint Bonner? Sure. You probably find him over at Raleigh's place. He a friend of yours?
Stole my woman. It's the last one he'll ever steal. I'm looking for a slick-talking, woman-stealing man named Bonner.
Get Bonner, quick.
Drinking whiskey.
Today, I think we've got company.
Company? To see me? Jug Buckstar?
That's who it's got to be.
Jug come all that way? For me?
You. You point this Bonner out to me. You don't.
You asking for me?
You be Vent Bonner?
That's right.
You stole my woman.
I'm not gonna draw on you, Jeb. I didn't steal Mercedes, or any other woman. Her pa asked me to look out for her.
I don't think now's the time to go out there.
But I want to see him.
No, please.
Go on, me! Job!
Mercedes, what they done to you?
Put Mr. Bonner down! Don't say I didn't warn you. You should have told him you was taking me. I knew he wouldn't like me changed.
It's all right. He whooped me fire. You can have your unnatural painted woman, Mr. Bonner, wearing fancy dress and shoes, but you can't change what's inside you. You can't never do that. No more than you can go corn on the desert.
John! John!
Just can't figure out why old Jess ever sent her down here. A woman like that belongs in the mountains.
She ought to have a chance to better herself.
Better herself? Ha! All that paint. She was pretty before. Real pretty.
She did say you wouldn't like her changed.
She did? She told you about me?
More than once.
Well, sure wish I'd been there when old Jess took sick. Things have been a lot different.
Oh, you've got a nerve. Let her see Buckstar alone indeed. After all the work I did on that girl, why, the man is dangerous. He's a brute.
But Raleigh, look.
I know she acts like she wants to see him. But that's because he's got her buffaloed. She's scared to death of him.
That's right, Vint. Man like Buckstar sure wouldn't want no daughter of mine to have anything to do with a man like that.
Now listen to me, both of you. He's not as bad as all that.
Oh, no?
No, and besides, he talks some sense.
Like what?
Well, like corn doesn't grow in the desert.
Now, you listen to me. Her pappy wanted her out of the mountains, and it's your job to see that she stays out. You made a promise, didn't you?
Well, yeah.
That settles it, Sheriff. You do your duty. You go tell Buckstar to get out of town and make it quick.
Now, Sheriff.
You stay here.
Banshees.
What?
The old man was right. So right.
Come in.
Hello there, Mercedes. I just dropped by to say that...
To say your goodbye to me. Heard you was leaving in the morning to take a job over to Little Falls.
Well, it won't be forever. I'll be stopping by from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
Sure look mighty fine in that outfit.
It's a chore to me, Mr. Bonner. All of it is. Even to filling up my lungs. But I stick to it, though. Long as I got nothing better to do.
Mercedes, I think your pappy'd be mighty proud of you. Come in.
Buckstar stole Mercedes. We've got to get her back. Hurry up, come on, get your pants on.
Look, would you let loose of it? I'll go with you, but get out of here while I do get my pants on.
Oh, well, hurry up.
Buckstar, you might as well give up. You can't get away with it.
Right, Jub. It's all my fault.
It ain't your fault, Mercedes. It's your pappy's.
Stop shooting into there, Lute. You'll be getting that girl.
Well, how else are we going to get him out? We can't go around to the back.
Can't get out that way neither. It's locked tight.
What are you doing? Why don't you send these men home?
We ain't gonna let no child stealer get away in this town, Bonner.
How do you know he stole her?
He's got her, ain't he?
And no woman would go with something like him of her own free will.
That's for certain.
Look, did anybody bother to ask Mercedes?
Well, no, but where you going?
I'm going to do something that should have been done a long time ago. I'm going to ask Mercedes how she feels about this. Where are you going?
Dick, come back, you darn fool!
Jim! Stint Bonner, I want to talk to you.
Let him come in, Jub.
Now look, Jub, Mercedes, I want to help you two, but if this keeps up, somebody's liable to get hurt, bad.
They started it, Mr. Bonner. I don't want to shoot nobody.
We just come in here to get my donkey, and that Mr. Luke started yelling and shooting, and he could do no more than just shoot back.
Mercedes, I got to ask you something, and I want you to answer me, for true.
Yes, sir.
Do you want to go away with Jub?
Yes, sir. Going home where I belong. His pappy's gonna marry us. I wasn't sure of Jub before I left home, no more than he was of me, but after he come all that way, and he done what he done to get me, I'm sure. I'm real sure.
Well, that's good enough for me. Now you stay here, both of you.
You can convince me of a lot of things, Vince, but you'll never get me to believe she's going with that brute because she loves him.
All right. Mercedes! Mercedes, come on out here.
It's all right. He told him.
Mercedes! Mercedes, come here. Look, they won't believe me. They want to hear it from you yourself, so tell them.
Well, there ain't no other man that could fill my heart. And as for the rest of it, I'm mighty thankful to you all for what you've done. But I know I'm going to be happy at home now, because I'll be with my man.
Well, that ought to settle it.
Chub, get her mule.
And just when she was learning how to wear shoes.
When he gets ready to leave, we'll be waiting for him at the hotel.
The horses are ready.
There must be close to 10,000 in gold in them saddlebags.
Only a kid tending it all.
Let's drink it on up. Come on, we want some more to drink.
Better have one, mister. Best 40-rod bourbon in the territory. Compliments of the young cowboy at the end of the bar.
I'll take it.
Go ahead, mister. Like the man said, it's the best 40-rod bourbon in the territory. I'm Della.
Oh, Della, I'm Vin Bonner.
You just passing through, or will you be spending some time in our fair little town?
Just passing through. What's the occasion?
Oh, the kid's just celebrating growing up, I guess. Just trail bossed his first cattle drive for his father.
Oh, I see. Where from?
Up north, San Mateo Range, about a day's ride.
San Mateo? What's his name?
Jim Winfield. Why, do you know him?
No, but I knew his father from way back.
You mean Cal Winfield, the gunfighter?
Ex-gunfighter. I'm gonna take him out of here.
Why?
Well, because his father's an old friend of mine. Because I know he can't afford to lose that money that the kid's throwing away, so... I'll see you later.
Drink it all up.
You got some catching up to do, mister. Name's Jim Winfield.
My name's Vin Bonner, Jim.
Heard my old man talk about you.
Come on,
I think you've had about enough, Jim.
You think I ought to leave, Mr. Bonner?
That's right.
Well, I'm just going to tell you something now. I ain't about to leave until I'm good and ready to.
Well, that's right now.
What do you think you're doing?
Now, wait a minute. You've got no right to force this boy to leave here against his will. Sheriff, this kid's drunk. His father's an old friend of mine. He worked hard for this money. I don't aim to see it thrown away.
Well, I reckon he has had too much to drink.
Come on, Jim.
You and I are getting out of this town.
You and I?
That's right. I'm going to see that money gets back to your father.
I ain't going.
Now, look, I saw the faces on those men down there tonight. They couldn't take their eyes off that money. You'd be bushwhacked before you're 10 miles outside of town.
Look, I said I ain't going.
I haven't seen your father in some years, Jim.
You mean since he reformed?
I had a letter from him a while back. Told me about his place. Asked me to drop by when I was in the neighborhood. He sounded real proud of it. Proud of you too, Jim. He said he couldn't have built it without you.
And that sounds just like him.
He needed the money. He told me about this drive. Needed to build his herd, money to pay off his hands, feed Bill. He risked everything he had on you, Jim, letting you trail boss this drive.
All right, you said your piece. Now I'll say mine. Did he tell you in that letter what it's like to be raised in a town where everybody knows your father was a killer? A hired gun?
It wasn't a hired gun. He was good and he was fast. You had to keep proving it. Your father and I are some alike, Jim. There's always someone pushing. The fact that he laid down his guns makes him the better man for it.
Did he tell you about how no decent folk come to visit? How about the girl I used to have that won't talk to me anymore? You want to know why? Because she found out Cal Winfield, the famous gunfighter, was my father. How many men was it he killed, Mr. Bonner? 17? 18?
That's all past.
Well, I'll never be proud of my father, no matter what you say. Besides, I made my mind up on that drive never to go back here.
Jim.
You take him the money if you want to. I won't be going with you. Tell him when you see him that I cut out for California. Tell him maybe I'll see him again someday.
That the way you want it, boy?
That's the way I want it.
You know who did it? Me and Pete were tending the horses back of the hotel. We heard a shot and run up here. Them saddlebags he had over at the saloon are gone.
Didn't you see anybody?
Well, we heard a horse running fast out of town. It's a fellow who calls himself, Bent Bonner.
How do we know those two didn't do it?
Then why we got the gold? Whoever killed the kid did it for the gold. The gold's gone, and so's Bonner. Think we better go after him.
Me and Pete don't like to see no kid killed. If it's all right with you, we'd like to ride along with you.
Glad to have you, boys. Let's get moving.
Well, kid, at least you had a going-away party for yourself tonight.
Howdy.
Say, what do you call this place?
Santa Lisa?
Looks like it used to be a mining town. Gold?
Silver, before she run out.
I see. And when the silver ran out, so did all the people.
Reckon that's what makes ghost towns, mister.
Say, what do you call that animal?
Oh, well, you might call him a mule, only you'd be wrong. He's just an oversized burro. Oh, he might look like a heap of bones, but he's still got plenty of spunk left.
Do you live here?
Yep. I guess you could call me Santa Lisa's leading citizen. I'm the only one left. Oh, I get enough out of the old mine to buy him a beans.
The day off, huh?
Nope. Today's something special. I'm getting me to see a gunfight. Might be a good one, too. Between Cal Winfield and a fella named, Bent Bonner. Ever hear of him?
Yeah, I heard of him.
Is he fast?
Some people say so.
Yeah, he better be, or Cal Winfield will cut him in half before he gets a good start.
Thought Winfield hung up his guns.
Oh, he did. One of Cal's hands come over here this morning. Said Bonner killed his boy, Jim, over at the hotel in Coachella. Took the pay for over 500 head.
Well, anyone see him do it?
I reckon so. Anyhow, the sheriff and two riders were here looking for him. Maybe they done caught him by now.
Yeah, maybe.
If he's caught up to, Bonner's a dead man. Cal swore he wouldn't leave the territory alive. Oh, you seem mighty interested in everything.
I'm a friend of Winfield's.
Who might you be, mister?
Bent Bonner.
Any luck, Sheriff? We've searched most of the valley. We'll find him.
Just remember, no shooting when you do find him. Unless it's me doing it.
What happened to the horse?
They come near bone attendant.
No wonder, the way you've been driving him all night. I know how you feel, Winfield, but you ought to let the law handle this.
Oh, meaning you, huh? This is federal territory, Sheriff. You got no more jurisdiction here than I have, and don't you forget it.
If I was to take him into Coachella, he'd be in my jurisdiction.
Oh, yeah. I heard there's going to be an election in Coachella. I also heard that you haven't got a chance of winning it. Of course, if you brought in Bonner, that'd do it for you, wouldn't it?
Suppose it did. The killer'd still be tried according to the law.
I'm going to kill Bonner my way. The same way he killed my boy, with this. I hung this up 8 years ago. Partly because of Bonner. For my son's sake, he said. For his future.
Haven't you seen him since?
No. When I do, one of us will be dead. Well, where are those Lawson boys he was riding with?
They're waiting down at the little mining town, Santa Lisa, in case Bonner comes through that way.
With my hands covering the rangeland to the north, we'll probably find Mr. Bonner somewhere in between. We'll catch up with him before sundown.
Cal, I want to talk to you.
Get out of here, Sheriff. I said get out of here. Get on your horse and get off my place. You remember how I used to do it in Julesburg, Bonner?
I remember.
When the ashes fall.
You're gonna take up right where you left off 8 years ago.
Right where I left off.
I didn't kill your boy, Cal.
You're a dirty liar. You knew Jim was coming into town with that money. I told you in my letter. You couldn't resist it.
That's not true. And your boy wasn't coming back.
We've got maybe one more minute of talk left, Bonner.
He asked me to bring back the money, Cal. The last thing he said to me, he was heading for California.
With this ranch, every head of cattle on it, gonna be his someday, oh no.
He didn't want the place. He didn't want the cattle, nor any part of you.
You expect me to believe that, my own son?
It's true, Cal. Your boy was pulling out on you. I think you knew that. Do you think killing the wrong man will even the score?
You're running out of time, Bonner.
Then there's nothing else I can say.
Looks like somebody's liable to set the barn on fire. I've seen this little game played before. Somebody always ends up getting killed. You two got no reason to play it.
Who are you? What business is this of yours?
Who am I? Well, that's not important. What's important is that Ben Bonner here didn't kill your son. I know who did.
You better know what you're talking about, young lady.
You know what this is? The gunsmith at Cuchilla said it's a .38-40 caliber shell. I found it in the hotel room where your son was killed. I've been around men in saloons long enough to know that Ben Bonner was wearing a .45 caliber Colt. That shell couldn't have come from his gun.
I reckon you never did wear nothing but a .45, eh? In all the years I've known you. I'm sorry. It's just that my son is the only thing in this world that I was going to leave the ranch, everything I owned to him. Figured I'd pull out maybe by the time we put the yearlings out to graze. That way, maybe he'd think about getting married. Settle down without having to be ashamed of his name or his old man's history. And I heard that he was shot and you'd done it. I I didn't question it, Vint. I reckon I didn't think very straight. Now, you said you know who shot him.
2 men named Lawson. One was wearing a fancy gun. They left Cuchilla with the sheriff.
Yeah, they were right here in this ranch last night. Right now they're at a place called Santa Lisa. Reckon I'll just ride over there.
Cal, there were 2 of them. Let me go with you.
Have to. I'm proud to have you, Vint.
I sent for the federal marshal.
I figured I had to. This is his jurisdiction.
You had to?
Now suppose Bonner outdrawed Winfield. We'd be right back where we started. Only Bonner'd have 2 killings behind him.
You think Bonner had a chance? Against Cal Winfield?
I don't know. From the way Bonner handled himself, I'd say he had a chance against anybody.
He's still only one man. There's 3 of us. Them are good odds.
This is probably my last job as sheriff of Cuchilla. I don't suppose I've been the greatest of sheriffs, but before I turn in this star, I want to see this thing through. Even if I can't do it, I want to see Bonner brought in. That's why I sent for the federal marshal.
Well, in that case, Sheriff, me and Pete will head out. We got a date in Mexico. Ain't we, Pete?
Yeah, sure we have.
Winfield, what are you doing?
Bonner didn't kill my son. He was shot with a .38-40 slug. It would have had to come from a special job. A custom-made gun, like Clay Lawson's wearing.
You accusing me, Winfield?
Yeah, maybe I am. This shell fits your gun? Sheriff, I'm going to ask you to wait outside. There's a young lady out there who'll tell you all about this shell. You're going to have 2 prisoners going back to Cuchilla. They'll be riding without guns. Or they'll be stretched out wearing them. That'll be their choice. Now you can either drop your belts or make your move. If you want to know who you're drawing on, I'll tell you. Vint Bonner here is the only living man that they said was as fast as me.
Hey, what are you doing? What's the way for killing that kid?
We gotta take our chances.
Ain't no man ever backed you down before.
You still got your choice.
Clay, what'd you have to go and drop your gun belt for? 2 against 1. There might be good odds.
The same odds you gave my son.
The sheriff's outside.
I don't know why I didn't kill him. I should have killed him.
Same reason I told you, boy. Takes a bigger man to lay him down than it does to use him.
Did you meet up with Cal Winfield?
Yeah, I met him.
What happened? Did you kill him?
No, I didn't kill him. Guess you might call it a draw.
A draw? I ain't never heard of a draw. Not in a gunfight, I ain't. Draw?